their 6th Super Bowl title. In the early 2000s, they won 3 of 4. Now they have won 3 of the last 5. Yes, it's still a dynasty.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com.
I hope y'all keep that same energy for tonight, baby. Can't wait.
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Hardy.
Slipping and sliding, he was like a cat. Pop, pop, bang. Welcome into the Patriots Postgame Show presented by Cyber Reason. It's Hardy, Mike Dussault, and Paul Perillo. Week 1 in the books. Patriots fall to the Dolphins at Gillette Stadium, 17-16. Guys, what happened? What?
Damian Harris fumbled.
What happened? I mean, Matt Jones had a good game. Damian Harris ran for 100 yards. Aguilar was involved. Jacoby Myers made some plays. What did they hold the Dolphins to? 17 points. They lost.
Yeah.
The Patriots lost 17-16. I'm having trouble wrapping up. Oh, did they not have the ball? Oh, no. They held possession a ton. A ton.
Well, I'll rattle it off for you. 1 for 4 in the red zone. Critical turnover. I mean, they lost the turnover battle 2-1, but the critical one with Damian Harris when you're at least going to probably kick a field goal to take a lead. Penalties, they were sloppy all night. And I know Miami had some as well, but it's just you can't expect to win when you play sloppy. You can possess the ball, you can move the ball down the field in 15 play drives, but if you don't finish with touchdowns, if you lose the ball more than you take it away, and you take more penalties and by far more penalty yardage, it's just you can't overcome that stuff. And it was big plays too on the defense. I thought those drives, the only really big part of those drives that they scored on were big plays to the secondary, downfield passing. So I think you take some specific things, and that's why they lost.
I mean, pretty much everything that I thought they would need to do in order to win the game, they did, with the exception of winning the turnover battle, which is a big one. But did they get after Tua? Yep. Now, Tua looked pretty good, and I thought Tua had some moments in this game. But they got to him enough to where I thought, all right, then they held him to a couple 100 yards passing. It's not great, but it should have been good enough. It should have been good enough when Mac was putting up 281 on the other side and threw a touchdown pass.
Yeah, I think, it's sometimes we can sit here and we can talk for 2 hours and we can break down every play and every possession of the game, but sometimes it's as simple as it comes down to the turnovers. And I think, the obvious one at the end is a killer for Damian Harris, who I thought otherwise had a pretty solid game, but I know it's simplistic, but you can't fumble there, Hardy. Like, you have the go-ahead field goal, pretty much in your side pocket. You can't fumble there. And that was the difference in the game. I thought Mac was fine. I thought he did a solid job of dealing with the pressure, and Brian Flores was true to form. He came after him. They really didn't stop. And the blitzes were getting there. But Mac was reading them, and he was getting the ball out quickly enough in the short passes. They lost the game because they had a critical turnover when the game was on the line, and you can't do that.
And I hate to be that reductive about it, too, but it's so often the case. Check the turnover ratio at the end of it before you look at any box score or anything else, and that will oftentimes tell you the winner of the game.
And the Dolphins were about to lose for the same reason. Like, they turned it over to set up that
critical time,
right? To set that up. So, it's very similar. Sometimes it's not necessarily about when what the plays are and how many there are, but it's when they happen. And the Dolphins turned it over at a time where you absolutely can't turn it over and give them a short field, and then the Patriots returned the favor. A couple of minutes later, and give Miami credit on the last drive. You're on the road, you're backed up, inside your 10. And you have a big play on first down, get wiped out by a penalty. You just came right back and got the first down. So give Miami a little credit. I thought the Patriots played well enough to win today, but the mistakes killed them.
And I have to say that, had they been able to maintain possession of the ball, and Nick Folk kicks a field goal and puts them up 19-17, I would have sweated out every last second of that game. I think it's real easy in my mind to envision Tua finding Parker on a couple of long receptions and getting them right back into range, and maybe Miami's stealing it back at the very end of that game. It's not like it was a surefire victory as long as Damian Harris holds on to that ball.
No. I think if they had gotten in for a touchdown, then I think that probably was a surefire victory. But
yes,
field goal range, that guy, Jason Sanders, pretty good kicker. They probably could have gotten, 55 and in, I would have felt pretty confident that he would have made it. But I thought the Patriots defense was really odd today. I thought they, and we're going to get to this when we start the good, the bad, and the
training room.
I thought for the most part the Patriots defense was pretty good, but you can't have those kinds of drives.
Yeah.
coming out of the locker room, both halves.
Yep, lots of ups and downs. Just a strange kind of. I mean, and I guess in some ways it's sort of what you expect in the first week, but a lot of it was the problems that we were anticipating, and the targeting of Jalen Mills down the field. He had a great play in the end zone to break up a pass, but I think everybody in the stadium saw where they were going to go with the ball when you saw him kind of isolated out there. So I think this performance was confirmed a lot of what we believed about the Patriots, and unfortunately, it's one of those games where one bad play kind of changes the whole outcome, and it's hard to not be upset about this whole thing, but they were close, and that's not really a consolation where we're at, and it's a big game to lose.
Yeah, no moral victories.
But
I understand what you're saying,
but there
Mike,
were
and I'm with you.
some moments there, and had one play gone differently and changed that into a field goal, and they're able to hang on. It's not a lot different than we're talking about, but
37-23 time of possession, 37 minutes to 23
It's
minutes.
unbelievable. It's unbelievable, but that's not, if you're going to look at one stat, as we already said, that's not the one that matters. Turnovers. Take a look at the turnovers, and that'll tell you a lot. Let's get into it, gentlemen, with our brand new segment that's going to sound a lot like the old segment, but it has a brand new sponsor. We are very happy to welcome on Theragun for the good, the bad, and the training room presented by Theragun.
Now it's time for the good,
Pretty good. It's pretty good.
the bad,
If you were in my toilet bowl, I wouldn't bother flushing it.
and the training room.
You want a back rub?
Presented by Theragun.
So much more than a back rub. How dare you, Marine Matt?
Wait. Does this mean we can't do?
Ah!
I need that at some point.
Okay, we can work it in at some point. All right, let's get to the goods first. I think there are a lot of goods for this first game of the season for the Patriots. I really do, as long as we don't get too nitpicky. Let's not nitpick ourselves to death. We generally don't allow a player to be on the good and the bad list, but let's see if the goods outweigh the bads for a couple of these guys.
Sure.
Mike Dussault, we'll start with you.
Well, let's start with Mac Jones. 29 of 39, 281, touchdown, no interceptions. He took that one sack. I thought it was a good debut from him. I think he showed some poise in the pocket. I think there were some jitters early on. Paul and I were kind of talking in the game, little shoulder flutters, maybe not quite putting as much mustard as he should on some of those passes. But overall, a rookie quarterback. I mean, we didn't see the ball get thrown like that last year. So it's positive. Worked it around. Had connections with a lot of different guys, which I think is encouraging when you look at, Aguilar had 5, which I found to be totally a surprise. White's had 6, Myers had 6, Jonnu had 5, Hunter Henry came on late with 3. So spreading the ball around, getting the ball to the open guy. Just wish that it could have been a little bit more locked in there. Not even that it's specifically Mac, but in the red zone. I think that's just a big takeaway for me. It's just the inability to stick it in the end zone. That's been a problem for 2 years, and that continued into tonight.
I have a feeling that you weren't like 100% ready to put Mac Jones on the good list for today.
Oh no, I had him on the good list, and I wouldn't even be able to add much to what Mike said.
Okay,
I thought
all right.
I do. I'll add a couple of things just to continue the Mac talk. I think we saw a sign of what we've been talking about, that he tends to have an ability to put the bad stuff, the negative, behind him quickly. The first pass that he attempts as a pro could not have gone any worse. He turns his back to the rush, looked completely overwhelmed, and then said, you take this. And then he went 29 for 39 for 280 whatever. That's kind of the stuff that we saw in the practice field. I thought for the most part, Brian Flores went after him, and he handled it reasonably well. He's definitely on my good list. Now, I'll say this. I have a feeling the next hour and 45 minutes we're going to be talking about a guy that didn't play in the game. A guy played at a much higher level than the guy that actually played in the game. I thought he was good. Okay. I have a feeling we're going to be hearing a lot of calls about, he's Brady.
Yeah. There's a chance of that. By the way, Matt Morrell, just a little technical thing. Do you mind if I ask Paul Perillo to just angle his mic a little bit more towards his mouth? He sounds a little off mic. And this is the type of thing that just angle that a little bit
Like
more.
this?
Yes.
Is that better?
Yeah, just even a little bit more. Right? You got to talk into that end of it, I believe.
Do I?
Yeah.
Stay on.
How does this thing work?
Matt
all right.
doesn't
So,
care.
yeah, I agree with Mike.
All right,
and
go ahead.
another element of the game, but obviously strongly related to Mac Jones, 11 of 16 on third downs. You talked about the time of possession. Well, the reason why you have to have that time of possession is because they weren't getting a lot of chunk plays. This is what you're going to have. You're going to have to sort of methodically move the ball downfield, and I think in theory, you don't necessarily expect a rookie quarterback to be able to do that making his first career start. Today, he did. There were a lot of 3rd and 1s early, and in the second half, there were a lot of 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 6s, 3rd and 4s. Not easy plays to convert. Overcame a couple of penalties, 1st and 20, methodically moving the ball so it ends up 3rd and 6 instead of, 3rd and 18. So I thought 11 for 16. Give him a lot of credit for that. Give him an awful lot of credit for that. And I think in short yardage running tonight, I don't think they got stopped at all. So third downs were outstanding all day. That's another good for me.
I'm going to start with the defense. I'm going to put Judon up there right away. I love the way he absolutely crumbled Tua. One of the last big positions that they had on the pick play.
On the
yes,
pick.
exactly.
Yeah, I was holding my breath after the roughing the passer they called early in the game, but yes, that was a good hit.
I haven't even looked
good
at
pressure.
I haven't looked at his numbers. I don't know what his tackles were for the game, but he's a guy that Dussault is grimacing over there. He didn't think he had a great game.
No, I'm not. I guess I'm also processing the game, so I'm having trouble pulling guys out of defense that played well, and I think Judon's a good one.
I think they got to Tua enough today, and I think Judon was a big part of that to where I had him down as a good early.
Yeah, and I think especially on that they had the first long drive, and then the second, off the turnover, they had the big sack.
That I thought was a very impressive defensive series.
And that was great, but I didn't really feel that energy kind of carry over through. They had their moments; they were up and down, but that was one moment where I felt like it was great.
I just thought there were guys. There were a lot of guys who were getting into the backfield, and they were a part of a lot of plays. Kyle Van Noy was a part of a couple of big plays in the backfield. Judon was the one that I noticed the most because he has red sleeves. If I have issues, I think there were issues. There's issues in the secondary.
Oh, yeah.
There's issues.
We'll get to that.
There's issues, but talking trash to guys who are lighting you up and then lit you up a little bit more after you started wagging a finger in their face, saying "Oh, not on my watch." Oh, really?
I think we'll get to JC later.
Okay. all right. But defensively, you held them to 17. I think a big part of that was Judon and the way they got after Tua today, so I put him on the good list, and I'm not taking him off.
Yeah, no, I didn't mean to take away from.
It's your grimace.
I know, and I'm grimacing thinking about the defense, not you.
I had Judon and Bentley actually on my good list. I thought early in the game, I thought some of the run support was pretty solid, but I know what Mike's point is. This is a game that the statistics are going to show that the Patriots defense was absolutely outstanding. I think they had 250 total yards. Like I said, they only had 23 minutes of time of possession, so that means they were getting off the field. 17 points is not, usually
right.
You allow 17, you expect to win that game. I don't think they played great on defense.
No,
today.
all right. And I still have the same concerns I had talked about. I'm going to throw.
We're still on the goods. We're still on the goods.
I'm going to throw Aguilar on there. And I said before the game,
I have Aguilar on mine.
He needed to show me something, and I felt like he did. 5 catches, 72 yards, the touchdown. I was surprised. And it's exactly what we kind of talked about before the game. He wasn't just a deep threat. He was making some clutch plays over the middle. There was one particular third down I remember that he had. So that's a positive, I think. Having him out there, having him produce, showing some chemistry with Mac Jones here early on, I think that bodes well for the future. And he's a big piece, and they need him to. They paid him like he should be, and he showed up tonight.
Paul, what do you got?
Yeah, I had James White also.
He was mine. I was going to take him.
I almost always have James White on my good list. But just a couple of typical James White plays where, it's third down. He's not going to get a ton of yards on his rushes, but he's going to get the first down. And then, the beautiful, probably Mac's best throw of the day was the one down the sideline on the wheel route where he got behind Jerome Baker for a 26-yard catch. again on a 3rd and long. I thought he was his old self. Maybe a good sign that last year was the aberration with him being quiet, combination of Cam Newton not really taking advantage of him, as well as his obviously difficult season off the field.
Yeah, I saw the James White patented cut that he has where he kind of fakes one way and just goes the other. There were a couple of those. Great throw by Mack. I thought it was a little reminiscent of the big throw he had to James White in practice.
Yeah,
same kind of thing, throwing with anticipation. And again, just to make sure we note it, Mack's performance on 3rd down, like you said, like the poise that he showed on those are big. Those are important.
It's the biggest takeaway from the good list is Mac Jones is on it across the board. And yeah,
I do.
I mean, certainly had nothing to do with the reason. Well, I wouldn't say no. He wasn't the reason you lost it.
No. And again, this is where you kind of have to like temper things for our good list. Now, I have Jacoby Myers on my good list. I almost took him off for a drop that he had both hands on it. He made a great catch to convert, I think, one of those 3rd downs after they got pushed back on the penalty. So I'll give him credit for that. I think he had 6 catches on 9 targets. One of the drops in particular was bad, but he had a couple of big catches otherwise. And I'm kind of putting Jacoby Myers on there with the barometer being Jacoby Myers of the past. And for that, I've got him on the good list today. There are a couple other guys I wish I could put on there also offensively for outstanding performances, but a couple of bad mistakes prevent me from doing it, so I'll put Myers on.
Yeah, that's a good one. The other one I got, sorry, Hardy, Nick Folk. I mean, didn't kick a lot this summer. 3 for 3 on field goals, hit his extra point as well. Probably could have hit the game winner there from inside the 10. But
I just wanted someone else to say it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I had Nick Folk on my list.
Solid, not easy kicks.
I was holding off writing it in my notebook because I thought it was going to come down to a last-second field goal, and I didn't want to have to scratch it out.
Do either one of
just in case?
Did either one of you have Myers on your good list?
I did not, but I have no problem.
I went through the same thing you went through, and I was on the fence even right now as I was thinking about him, being like, he had a pretty good game.
Definitely not on the bad.
That was a drop.
No, I didn't have him on either list, but I have no reservations.
If you want to cross the board, good. I don't have anyone else.
Right. Do you have any others? I would add just Mike and I were being snarky, Mike and Paul, at a point because the two of us have sort of been infatuated with the aura, to steal Cam's word, that seems to be surrounding Josh Uche. Like Uche's everywhere. Uche's poised for this. Uche, all summer. And Mike and I did you notice Uche a lot at practice? When they played, and we just were wondering, are we being negative? Like, are we missing it? And Uche didn't play a ton today. But when he did get in the game, that was an impressive sack. In a big spot, he just knocked over that poor kid Eichenberg. Oh, my God. You talk about a bad list for Miami. That kid got overwhelmed. So Josh Uche, again, doesn't have to be 50 snaps. He was a presence all day. But when he get out there, I noticed him. That was a huge play, so I had him on my good list for that. Big sack, late in the half.
All right. Moving on to the bads for the good, the bad, and the training room.
Forced that field goal at the end of the half, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
That's big. Instead of a touchdown, it's a field goal.
I know. Boss man Fred Kirsch joining us now. We'll keep the order here with Mike Dussault, your first player on the bad list.
I'm gonna go red zone offense. I'll leave some of the players to you guys, but I just 1 for 4 in the red zone, and that's where the game was lost. And it's just that's what's bugging me is you go out, you get these tight ends. You had 2 years where you've been close to the bottom of the league in red zone offense. They got to find a way to produce points, and we saw it later in the year last year when they started pulling stops out and doing trick plays and all that stuff to get in the red zone. I was hoping they weren't gonna have to resort to that. Based on how guys contributed, though, I feel like there should be something there. They should be able to get these guys going, but it wasn't enough. And I'll include the fumble as part of that in the red zone. It just wasn't good performance down there.
I wondered if they were going to have to resort to some trickery down there, and I swear I was on one of Harris's last carries, like maybe his second or third to last carry. It looked like maybe he was winding up and was going to throw the ball downfield. I'm like, is that what they're resorting to? Have they already given up on the red zone offense here with time left in the fourth quarter of the first game of the season? Because, short of a lot of work down in the red zone, they're going to have to resort to a little bit of trickery if they're going to convert on that stuff. And obviously, they're going to have to convert. Fred Kirsch, nice to see you.
Yeah, is it?
It always.
Okay.
Always.
Yeah.
We've already handed out lots of praise, and we will continue to for the rest of the post-game show here. But who's on your bad list?
On my bad list, well, Stevenson.
Ramondre Stevenson.
Not only, that one where he just got knocked on his butt, trying to pick up the block. He just looked bad. And so that was disappointing. But, I think, like Heron, I would put him on my bad list.
Yeah.
Haran.
You're just going to do all the bad?
Oh, you're allowed. Paul wants
run the gamut.
Paul wants you to do one, and then, we all
okay.
take a turn.
Okay. He's very. He talked to me before the show. He doesn't like the way I come in and interrupt.
This is what I told him. Okay.
He told me the same thing for what it's worth.
Yeah.
He's not speaking ill of you behind.
No, I know. No,
I said something about
we
Fred.
talked about it. Yeah.
You said, yeah. I think when Fred comes in, we shouldn't recap the stuff. We should just kind of pick it up mid-segment.
Right. I think there's plenty of different elements of the game that we all probably find interesting that we can all talk about.
Okay. All right.
Talk about it amongst
He
yourselves.
asked me who I had on my bad list.
Right, and you said Ramondre Stevenson.
One guy.
And I think I agree. I had him. I'm sure that that was a big fumble.
Yep. Second touch in his career.
It's a big fumble.
It was one play, Fokker. It
right.
was a big
and
play.
Mike nailed it.
I talked about it
He
before
did not
the
get
game.
another
We said
chance.
it. He did.
Mike nailed it. He said he won't touch the ball again, and he didn't.
No.
And there were
He
times
he came back in, but he didn't touch the
and
ball.
there were times where Damian Harris was gassed, and they needed someone to go in. One of which they needed someone to run the ball, and they put Bolden in.
Good old Bolden.
Good old Bolden.
I cannot wait to talk about Jacoby Brissett coming into the game and getting your breakdown of it, because the first time he came in and he stayed in, I was like,
well,
that's
it
what
was
I thought.
the stay-in part that
The
bothered me.
stay-in.
Like clearly they don't want Tua running quarterback sneaks because I think they think he's going to break.
Bewildered, betrayed.
Yeah,
wrong answer.
And then they're like trying to draw him off sides. I'm like, are you guys trying to score here? Like, what are you
Well, I
doing?
don't think they were trying to draw anybody offside. I think they were completely clueless. That
They
the,
just didn't-
the wide receiver's got his palms up.
I was giving him the
what are we
benefit of the
doing?
doubt.
What are we doing?
It ended in a delay of game, didn't it?
I can't believe we lost to these guys.
It ended in a delayed game. Oh no, I'm sorry. They got called for a false start while they were trying to call timeout.
When they're trying to.
But I
draw the
agree
other
with
team
Fred's
offside.
Ramondre Stevenson. And
Yeah,
again,
it's
it
bad.
doesn't have to be like you made 7 bad plays. You had an opportunity to make a play or two, and on one of them you fumbled the ball, and that could have been really damaging if the defense didn't really come up big there.
All right.
So I had, obviously I had ball security and those kinds of issues as well, just like Fred did, but the offensive line in general, and I know they did a lot of blitzing and they sent a lot of stuff. I don't think the Patriots handled a lot of it really well, and there were a lot of penalties trying to save Mac Jones. I thought Mac himself avoided some runaway rushers by getting rid of the ball really quickly.
Yeah.
Justin Haran, Fred brought him up. I totally agree with Freddie. I thought he struggled, and I don't think he got hurt. I think he got benched.
Yeah.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah.
So-
Rough summer
okay.
for him too.
So-
Oh, no
Yeah,
doubt.
Now-
and we didn't think he had a great
He was
summer
a
either,
big
Mike. Good
lap
point.
guy.
Yeah.
He was,
I didn't have the offensive line on my bad list because I don't think Mac has the type of day he has without at least decent work in front of him. I don't think Damian Harris has the day
Oh,
that
no,
he
no.
had without
I didn't have the offensive line. I had pass protection issues.
pass protection.
Like, I
Okay.
think I thought, the first run of the game, the 40-yard run for Damian Harris was
brilliant.
great, but a great hole. I mean, they obviously were ready.
For me, I can't put Harris on the bad list, but yeah, I mean that fumble
Ball
at that
security.
stage in the game, should that undo his entire performance? No. Does it kind of anyway? Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, it does.
I mean, especially down there, you just can't do that.
And it was not, a fantastic play by the defense
I mean,
to knock
you're
the ball
poised
loose.
to at least go up by 2 points.
You got to
at
have
the bare minimum.
You got to have the go-ahead field goal
Yeah.
there. If you miss the field goal, you miss the field goal. But
Right.
it's in your pocket. You're inside the 10.
Right.
Can't have a fumble.
So a reluctant, completely unfair, yell at the clouds bad list for Damian Harris.
Yeah, and that's just given the moment, you got to put him on there. And I would just say, I don't know if this is the hidden game, but I feel like the penalties, the red zone, and as well as they generally just didn't win the little things that they usually do. And usually that's enough to win these kind of games. And I felt like, yeah, you only lost the turnover battle by 1, but between the red zone, between the penalties, it was enough to short circuit this Patriots team. And they don't have what they used to have to overcome stuff. So it's kind of a long way of saying, like, I just think generally it was a sloppy night for the Patriots, which sometimes I'll forgive early in the season. But when another team comes in here and they play just a little bit cleaner, this is what happens. It's a 1-point win. So I just generally maybe put it on coaching.
Penalties,
just
everything.
not quite ready
Sloppiness.
to go. Sloppy.
Listen, I'm as disappointed as anyone. That game was right there for the taking. But I come out of this kind of hopeful. I'm sorry, but, I mean, it was sloppy, but all the things I saw were things you can clean up, And I didn't see us getting, completely outplayed. I thought the defense, looked shaky at first, but then they stepped up and made some key stops. And I think they're just figuring out how to play together with all the new faces. I think you got to love what Mac Jones did.
Well, that's
so I'm hopeful. I mean, Bourne had a couple nice catches.
One.
Oh, no, he had more than one.
No, he had one. One catch.
One got
17
called back.
yards.
Oh, one got called back. Not his
So
fault.
he almost had to.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
Fred, that's how I started the show. I said, if you ask me how was the game without telling me the score, and just ask me a question, how was Mac Jones? Oh, he played well.
He was good.
Oh, did he? Aguilar, did he get him involved?
Yep.
What about Jacoby Myers? Yeah, absolutely. How was the defense? So, like, Judon. Oh, Judon played. See, I think
That's where you
Judon-
got it. Like, my bad, as we somehow stopped the bads, is the coaching coming out of the locker room both halves. The other team went down the field like they were playing against
That's
nothing.
true.
Yeah,
That's
you're right.
true.
And when you have a game like this, and I think the Patriots are going to play a lot of games like that are going to be tight. Red zone is going to be huge. Penalties are going to be huge. Missed opportunities and whatnot. You can't allow 2 touchdown drives to start both halves, and that's what they did.
I agree with you, Paul. But just from Fred's perspective of being hopeful, when you just look at how the big questions like how is Mac going to be? He threw for 280 yards and he threw a touchdown pass. Oh, did he throw any picks? Nope.
Yeah,
And he threw a lot of passes.
What about
but
Folk?
those-
Was he okay? Oh yeah,
Those
he made
kinds of
it-
things I totally agree with, but I wasn't expecting to not have a chance to beat the Miami Dolphins at home in my home opener. Like, I wasn't expecting the other team to thoroughly outplay us.
But
They were
didn't.
favored for I know. I wasn't expecting
Oh, okay.
So I don't take really any solace in that they didn't get outplayed. Like, I didn't expect them to get outplayed.
Yeah, but
I expected them to win the game.
But I'll go back to what we've talked about in the preseason. A lot of people are penciling in wins, and you can't
That's a
do
good
that
point,
anymore.
Freddie, that's
You
both-
can't do that anymore.
dead on.
But-
dead on point.
But
Good point.
oddly, I think I'm at least as hopeful at this point
yeah,
after this one
yeah.
game this year as I
Well,
was.
I'm sorry. All of the people who have like 12 and 13 wins has to be -1.
Oh no,
from that.
Stop it with 12 and 13 wins. I'm just talking
Right?
about in terms of
Because everybody had that one in. Fred's point is right, and this is not directed. This is directed at the royal we,
yeah,
not at you, Hardy.
Yeah, yeah.
Fred's point is like people were like 3-0 heading into Tampa. 3-0 heading into Tampa. Well, you lost game 1. Week 3 is against the team that absolutely eviscerated the Green Bay Packers today.
Killed them.
So again, Fred's right. The days of penciling in wins are over.
Over.
I just think I'm at least as hopeful as I was when we were in the same position last season with a win in Week 1 over the Dolphins. And I liked Cam Newton. I liked what he saw.
Oh.
I just
now I'm going to button hook you. I'm more hopeful today
Well,
than I was after that.
that's what I'm saying,
trade.
because that didn't look
I'm more
sustainable.
hopeful.
This look-
To Freddie's point, Mac Jones showed you he can play today.
This
He ain't going to be
looks-
the reason you lose.
This looks sustainable, and it looks like something you can improve
Yes,
upon. And to Fred's
totally
point, you
agree.
can clean up some of those
Totally,
penalties.
totally,
Clean up.
totally
the
agree.
holding. Oh, what are you doing? With it
Well,
killed
but
me.
How
that's
many
part of the
times are you
pass
going to let
protection issues.
Parker go in for a quick slant over the middle?
Well,
you know?
it doesn't help when J.C.
Those
Jackson.
issues aren't going away.
Oh, by
the
the-
secondary is
It will when
sketch.
Gilmore comes back.
Thank you for
Well, we'll see.
thank you for waving your finger at Fred like J.C. Jackson waved his finger to Parker like, oh no, you don't.
On a pass that Parker dropped, right?
Yes.
That was. I mean, and Jackson contested the play, but the ball hit the receiver in 2 hands, and he dropped it. And the next play, Jalen Waddle dropped one on 3rd and 10, wide open on an out pattern.
Yes.
Like, this is what I'm saying. I don't think the defense played as well as the numbers are
The
today.
3rd and 10, that's when everybody, and Kyle Van Noy's out there, get up, and the crowd's going nuts, and they get the stop on 3rd and 10 because the ball hit Waddle in both hands.
And there was
Definitely
Nobody there.
Early on, Miami definitely helped out the defense. What was Jameis Winston's numbers today?
Oh, God.
Because I'm worried about
Oh,
that.
wait till you hear.
I'm worried about that.
I mean, I
So
heard it before
I
the
just
end of
thought
the game.
very atypical of the Patriots to allow the adjustments that are made in the locker room. Game plan to start the game, adjustments to start the second half. And they lost like blowout, 14-0 in those drives. 14-3. I think the Patriots got a field goal in their first drive of the second half. So that to me was a little surprising. That's on my bad list.
Jameis Winston today was
Okay, you got it?
Yeah, it was 14 of 20 for 148 yards.
Oh, okay.
5 touchdowns.
What? Oh, they must have been like all red zone.
Why did he only throw for 148 yards? Because you can't get any more than a touchdown.
Right, but they must have been all red zone touchdowns, I guess.
I assume.
It was just run.
38 to
touchdowns.
3. But the bigger concern for me in that game is the Saints defense. I don't think Jameis Winston will come in here and kill them.
I mean, but I'll say to the Patriots defense,
we can save that for a couple
I don't feel my nerves calmed at all, and I was not impressed with Tua Tagovailoa really at all. I'm more impressed with Mac Jones.
I
think
totally
Tua
agree.
in year 2, after everything we've been talking, getting healthy, and so if the Patriots are struggling to match up against those guys, they're giving up over the middle catches uncontested. We know the level of quarterback that is coming in here in a few weeks. I have real concerns about how they're going to match up and how all of a sudden we just don't seem to have enough pieces in the secondary. We got a bunch of linebackers and safeties. We got linebackers who can't run. We got safeties who are hybrid, not really deep coverage guys apparently. So I got real concerns about this defense and where they're headed.
I developed a sneaky hatred for Tua that I did not have before, and I've never liked the Dolphins. But after he got taken down for the crocodile death roll and got up and started running with the ball, I said, "Where are you going? What are you doing? You were down 3 times on that play."
What play?
He got taken down. It wasn't quite a sack because he had gotten almost back up to the line of scrimmage, but he got taken down and then he stood up and started running with the ball.
I don't remember that.
Yeah,
I hate that.
We got some highlights here. There's Uche.
That's a pet peeve of mine.
Of not being able to remember.
Oh yeah, I just saw that. I think that's the play you're talking about right there.
Yeah.
Uche.
So Uche takes him down.
Kicks him for a sack.
Okay, here he's down.
Oh, I
the
see.
right
what he
elbow
did.
goes down too.
He was
and
clearly down, but his feet stayed on the ground, and he thought that he was still. But he's clearly down. His knee was down.
Knee was down, and the elbow was down. He
Yeah.
got up and started running. I'm like, what? Stop
See,
it.
but Hardy's like me though. That doesn't take much. Doesn't take much. The switch just gets lifted.
This is the good, the bad, and the training room, which is presented by Theragun. So players that might need a little Theragun time in the training room this week. Who'd you see out there, Deuce?
Well, Trent Brown left, did not return. I think they put in Heron initially, and then Heron was out for a couple penalties. So Trent Brown, it's a big one. I mean, I think he was a big part of what they wanted to do running-wise, and who's to say what might have happened? I mean, I think if I remember correctly, I mean, Harris did fumble kind of going in that direction.
Well, plus
but he's
22
a big piece
carries for Harris for 61 yards after the first play, right?
Yeah.
You know,
do the math.
Ish. No, well, it was
35, I think.
63 yards. What was it, 35?
I think it was 35.
All right, so
All
whatever,
right.
65. 64. whatever.
Anyone else to the training room?
37, but he returned. Yeah, Damien got his,
Yeah,
his helmet knocked
I think
off.
his helmet hit his
he got hit in
his
the
head
face.
with
I
his
think
own,
he got
with his own helmet.
Oh, I thought he got kneed in the face.
Oh,
after
it might
the
have
helmet
been.
came
It
off.
might have been, but
That's
it
what
looked like the helmet came flying by and cracked him.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was not an injury as much as he was stunned.
And that's why he fumbled 3 quarters later. Very good. So thank you very much to Theragun. I've seen these in action, by the way. I get it. I like it. This makes sense to me. Theragun is the only physician-created percussive therapy device that releases your deepest muscle tensions and aches. It relaxes your deep muscle tension with a scientifically calibrated combination of depth, speed, and power, much like this show. It's trusted by 250 professional sports teams. Comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. You can get your own. Just go to therabody.com to get your Theragun today, starting at just $199. Very good. All right. We are going to step aside for a moment. Coming up, we will hear from the coach, and Mac Jones, presumably, is part of this post-game show, which is presented by Cyber Reason. Stay with us.
Defending against cyber attacks requires seeing in the dark, understanding and ending every threat to your organization on computers, mobile, and the cloud. It takes Cyber Reason. End cyber attacks from endpoints to everywhere.
TouchView Interactive is here to support your hybrid learning, distance learning, and video conferencing needs with easy-to-use tools that allow end users to collaborate, interact, and present seamlessly. TouchView Interactive offers a comprehensive line of accessories and software to support your audio-visual needs. Outfit your classrooms and presentation spaces with the future of interactive display technology. Visit touchview.com for more info. Offered by the Oakers Company, celebrating 100 years of service and support.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com.
He's got deep institutional knowledge of the team. He's just a football mind.
You suck.
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Hardy.
It's Patriots Postgame Show presented by Cyber Reason, official defenders of the New England Patriots. We should get to the calls. Shouldn't we?
Sure.
Yeah, let's do that. Because I know a lot of people want to talk about Mac Jones and his day and the Patriots and their week one unfortunate loss.
6-0 and over-unders.
Talk about Paul Perillo sweeping the over-unders. I mean, well done. I mean, I went 500, which anybody could do. I don't even know if I did. I may have gone 2-4. Okay, thank you. I just said, I already corrected myself, Matt. You didn't have to chime in and interrupt me.
3-3. Yeah.
That's not 500, by the way, Hardy. 2-4.
We're going to talk to Sizzin in Cincinnati, and I'm going to ignore my co-host here. Oh, there you go. Now everybody's happy.
It would be a Hardy-hosted show without a...
Now everyone's happy. Eric in New Jersey, welcome into the post-game show. Hi, Eric.
Hey, what's going on, guys? You guys hear me?
Oh, yeah.
I thought the game. I thought the guys played. I thought a couple guys played well. I thought Mac definitely played pretty well for his first start. J.C. Jackson, he's not that guy. He's not that guy. I think Jalen Mills coming down here in like the greater Philadelphia area. I know everybody was kind of surprised and shocked at the money that we paid for him. They all thought he was, not up to par. I think it was kind of proof in the pudding today what we've seen from camp. The secondary is going to be an issue, I think, the whole, moving forward the season. But the question I want to leave before I take it off the line, what were your guys' takes on some of the younger guys? I know you've seen, obviously, Stevenson, but what were your thoughts on Barmore? Then kind of like, what do you think the linebacker situation? You see Ninkovich get out there, Uche a little bit, and Van Noy with the substitutions, and kind of seen that turnover from last season with the substitution, late getting a guy early in the game, some carryover from last year. I was going to take your thoughts on that, and I'll take it off the line. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Eric.
I thought Barmer was good early, but he kind of faded, got over his feet a little bit later on, and just lost his leverage and kind of like falling forward.
No, I know what you meant.
But early on, like,
he's a bull.
He's a force.
I just take it. I didn't really notice him, good or bad, that much, but I take it as a great sign that he played as much as he did. He was really involved in the game plan, so I think that means that they really like him.
He was definitely pushing the pocket early, but then
I would say positive.
We got to pay attention to this guy, and you never saw him do much after that.
Didn't really know. I mean, the other first, second, third year guys. I mentioned the one play for Uche. I didn't notice him otherwise. It was a huge play. I give him a lot of credit for that. Winovich.
Didn't notice anything.
Dog chase. I did notice him trying to get doing with his thing and dog chasing cars.
And
a little bit of that. Yeah. A little bit of that.
And I see Duggar
didn't play that well either.
Led the team in tackles.
Duggar had more tackles than anybody, and I was looking at it. I said, I wonder if anyone's going to have him on as good. I did.
He had a nice tackle for loss.
I think that was Phillips.
No,
I think
he had
the one
one
you're
too.
talking about is Phillips. Phillips
did have some
Phillips
plays,
had one as
but
well.
I don't think he played as much as he did last year. I think his role has been a little bit reduced. I think it seemed. I'll be curious to see what the snaps were, but it didn't seem like he was out there as much as he was last year when he seemed like he was almost every down and right in the thick of it.
I forgot somebody I wanted to put on my bad list after Eric brought up J.C. Jackson. I would like to put Stephon Gilmore's doctors on the bad list for not having him ready and, necessitating that IR stint to start the season. What a bad job by them.
Oh, yeah.
Because they could have used him today.
Yeah, that's why he didn't play.
They could have. I wouldn't trade Mac Jones for any of the first-round cornerbacks from this draft, but I think they could use a young corner and somebody to give them some long-term stability at that position, somebody that you're developing.
And I didn't watch, obviously all the games, but it certainly seemed like Mac Jones was the best rookie quarterback today. I mean,
yeah.
From what
I know,
seen.
I know Trevor Lawrence had some struggles, and I know poor Zach Wilson. I mean, he made some plays. But, man, he was running for his life all day.
Well, I think your pregame thoughts proved prophetic, Paul. A lot of alliteration from an eager anchor placed in a powerful post.
Good job, Albert Brooks.
Having him throw the ball a little bit more than anybody would expect to kind of say, all right, you're expecting us to run the ball all day. You know what we're going to do? We're going to air it out 35, 40 times.
If he truly is a guy who learns quickly and, there was a lot to learn from in this game.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you.
A lot to learn from. He got a lot of experience in one game.
Mike brought up the red zone struggles as one of his bads, and obviously that's how you lose the game when you only get one touchdown and 4 trips down there. I'm going to put some of it on the coaches because, to Fred's point, you let him throw the ball 39 times. How many incomplete passes did he throw into the end zone today?
I don't think any of them.
I can't think of a single one.
Not one.
And that kind of tells me that, it was really impressed upon him. We got points, protect the ball, throw it away. And I thought when they got down there, they didn't really press the issue to try to make any plays. And I think you probably see as he continues to play and they feel a little bit more comfortable, maybe they give him more and more opportunities. Maybe the red zone thing is a one-game aberration and it can get fixed.
Well, it stinks because they were down there close, then they had the holding that negated that play. That was like at, the 9-yard line or something like that?
Yeah.
And then, later on, of course, with Harris, he fumbles deep in the red zone. So you lost a lot of opportunities to have those red zone plays.
Yeah. I just, real quick, Hardy, I just think it's funny because we watched the first 27 practices and it was all in the red zone. Yeah, It's like you spend so much time on it. It's such a focus all season.
Well, it's because that's what we always do.
It's just disappointing to come out and that's what kind of kills you.
Who are the receivers that you would trust in the red zone? I trust Mac. I mean,
you see the tight ends.
You see,
you're
see him
with Hunter Henry a little bit. Maybe that's something
those two
to
guys,
grow with.
Yeah.
But with that, the bucket drill pass that he completed to James White down the sideline, I'm like, that's a perfect little red zone pass. Is it going to be James White on the receiving end of that in the red zone in the back corner of the end zone? Now that I don't know, but is Hunter Henry capable of being on the receiving end of one of those? I would have liked to have seen a little more involvement from the tight ends today, quite frankly.
It seemed like it was coming on a little later. You had Jonnu along the sidelines where he stepped out of bounds.
Henry over the middle.
I thought they were both kind of quiet. I don't think neither one of them, I don't think, played badly.
But I don't know.
It's not like they dropped any balls.
Nope. No. Every ball that was thrown to them that they had a chance to make a play on, they did. But I just thought they were quiet.
Jonnu had that nice kind of late backstab catch that he had to.
Yep. Let's go to Alex in Chicago on the postgame show. What's up, Alex?
How's it going, guys?
Good.
All right.
So you guys just talked about it right before I called. I was going to ask about the red zone, which has been really concerning the last few years. And I'm wondering, do you guys think that Josh McDaniels' play calling is to blame, or is it just the personnel? Is it the fact that we don't have players in the end zone that can get open, or is McDaniels just not doing the correct thing?
I think it's personnel. I think I was a little surprised today with the amount of zone that Miami played, and I think that they probably decided, well, we're going to have these blitzes, and we're going to have to play zone behind them to make sure we don't give up any of the big plays. But I think if you just man up against these guys, you're going to be able to at least limit them. And you saw on some individual plays how difficult it was for them to get open. The play that Jason McCourty made on, I think it was Myers.
Yeah, I mean, that ball took a little bit too long to get there.
Right, so just play, like, if I'm no defensive coordinator, but I would just play more man-to-man and make them beat you. I think in the red zone, that's what it takes.
I agree with you, and I think it's personnel because I also remember Tom Brady having red zone struggles at times after Rob Gronkowski wasn't playing anymore. It's like you need your targets, you need your go-to guys, and the reason why they spend so much time on it in camp and in practices is because red zone offense is tough. It's tough just logistically when you've got the defense all compacted in that.
That's
part
why
of
we
the
work
field.
on it every year.
But you would think, but in theory, when you have two good tight ends, in theory, it should open up things in the red zone.
It should.
It should.
It should. Spee. Spee in the pregame, not great. Oh, no, that was Pat
No, that was
Nagel.
Patty.
I'm sorry. Spee, 1,000 pardons. You were great in the pregame. Let's continue it now in the postgame.
I told you, Jerry, those turnovers are relationship killers.
Okay.
It's just brutal, man. I don't know. I mean, he probably feels like crap. But I'm not saying Mac is Brady, so don't mistake that. But I was pretty impressed. He has, he had the poise and showed grittiness. There's adversity to overcome in a game like that with all those penalties, and I think he did a good job. And the thing is with the zip on the ball, I was impressed with, because you guys had talked before about how with him, he's got the accuracy, maybe not the velocity, so it takes longer to get there. And I think Fred just pointed out one throw like that. Yeah. But I'd say that overall this game, I didn't see it that way.
No, I love what I saw from Mac today.
There were a handful of completions to me today that could have been big plays if they could have gotten there. And Mike, I see the look that Mike has on his face because Mike actually mentioned that to me a couple of times. I mean, they were completions.
Oh, yeah?
But the ball was floating. And some of it was because they blitzed him a lot today.
He's on his back foot.
And he was off his back foot a lot.
Yeah, and some of those I forgive, but I also wonder if it's nerves and is he just not stepping into it really. It didn't look as good as it looked to me in the summer. I don't know. Maybe I was just
I have
being
no
a little
complaints about Mac. None.
No,
None.
Because any complaint that I would have about Mac is completely mitigated by the fact that it was his first career start.
Exactly.
You're being a jerk if you have complaints today about Mac.
And that first play that we taught, and Speed, thanks for the call, buddy. Good to hear from you again.
Yep.
That first play that you were talking about, where he turned around, that didn't go down as an incompletion, right?
Which one?
The first.
No, that was a sack.
Yeah, that was the sack. So
that was a bad play.
After
that was a really bad.
It was
play.
a really bad play. But after that, what do you go 5 for 5
Right.
after that?
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah.
He
got hot. He stood in there. I think that's what's just most frustrating is that it was right there for the taking. A fourth quarter comeback in his first game.
I know.
They get the ball at midfield. They're gonna go and
imagine
it's
if
right
it had
there.
happened, what we'd be saying right now.
So, and then I think some of that excitement
Believe
is
me,
carrying
they're gonna
over.
say it anyway.
It is carrying over right now, but I think there's a lot to be excited about. But I think that there are also things that were exposed a little bit and I expect the things will get cleaned up. That's a general expectation you have after one game, that there's not going to be the same stupid penalties. There's not going to be the same turnovers. Maybe they'll come in a different fashion, but I feel good. I think really I'm more excited about the offense right now. And the defense, I'm still like, I need more. I need more than this, guys. I need you to come out and play with the kind of energy you played there in spurts the whole time.
There's going to be a lot of things picked up on in this game, and the way Mac handled himself afterward. After his touchdown pass, saw Myers trying to give him the ball, and he gave it back to Myers. He didn't, wasn't keeping the ball. He went to the bench. He was focused. He wasn't, loose and celebratory. He looked like a guy who would, come to work today, and it was. I think indicative of a lot of what we heard about Mac early on, and his desire to learn and create. I don't know if he's going to be put off by this loss and the way they lost the game. It'll be interesting to see how he reacts to it next week, because it's just as important to be able to bounce back from a loss and a bad break like that.
I think he gets it. You saw him after the fumble on the sideline, trying to keep guys up. I have no worries about Mac.
Yeah, and I
that
think
in that regard.
And this style of loss too, it feels like one of Paul's. I feel like we beat ourselves. Like it was there for the taking, and our mistakes just beat us. We've got to be better.
This was an anti-Patriots game. The Patriots won that game countless times with Tom Brady.
Oh yeah.
Like it wasn't always the Patriots played great, but I thought the Patriots were the better team for the vast majority of the 60 minutes. They possessed the ball 2/3 of the time. They just made mistakes, and they even got breaks with the one touchdown they scored was on a sack. That was a sack on a Landon Roberts that they called roughing the passer on.
Yeah.
So they even got that break, and they found a way to lose a game that they should not have lost. They absolutely should not have lost that game today. They were the better team, I would say, for all but the first 2 drives of the game. The first drive of the game and the first drive of the second half.
It's easy to look like the better team when you're holding the ball for the overwhelming majority of
but
the
it's
game.
hard to do
We
that.
had the I know.
It is, but it also, you need more. You need more production. Everything can't be you get a 10-yard penalty, you gain 8,
Right.
then you gain 4. Like, we need some big plays. We need to start clicking a little bit more.
It'll come.
It's encouraging, but
I think this game will be a distant memory come November. I think they'll make us forget about this game.
Let's go to Mike in San Diego. Mike, you're on the Patriots postgame show. Hi, Mike.
I think you're going to be thinking
How
about
we
this
doing,
game.
He thinks this is going to come back to bite.
I think that's going to be a damaging loss in the wild card race.
So-
Yes, I do.
Could be.
So, I'm on the Twitter machine, and I'm seeing all these idiots saying, oh, we're spending all this money on free agency, and what we get out of it. I mean, what we get, like 80, 90 yards out of the tight ends today. I mean, we don't have any cornerback depth, but Jalen Mills blocked away the 1 touchdown in the end zone. That was nice to see. Matt Judon's just an edge threat. Like, I mean, for the first game back after going, 7-9 last year, like, acquisitions looked pretty good. You know, I mean, everybody kind of
I was underwhelmed with it. Aguilar was the one guy who I thought, out of the newcomers. Like, I thought the tight ends were just kind of there.
Maybe 1 drop today when he was getting hit over the middle? I mean,
For who?
He looked good. Aguilar.
I thought he was good. I just said he was the one guy that I thought was good.
I know.
I thought Aguilar was really good. I think, Mike, you talked about wanting to see some of the shorter stuff, not the one-trick pony. You saw it today.
Yep.
And it was a great move on the touchdown where he just kind of stopped on a dime.
That was a heck of a play.
Yeah.
But I didn't really see a whole Miami's offensive line is in shambles. Like, the guy came off COVID. They couldn't play him. They had to play a rookie second-round pick who got absolutely overwhelmed. Like, I'm not – I
needed more of the Uche play. I needed that every
Did you think the Patriots front seven dominated the game today? Because I didn't.
No. They had their moments.
I mean, they had the opportunities, but, just coming up short in the red zone, the 2 fumbles. I mean, the first fumble, they could have gone either way, but, they chose to give it to the Dolphins. But, I mean, I almost got a feeling like that we're coming off the Seattle game last year, close, heartbreaking loss, but a lot of promise from Mac. I mean, he starts the game throwing 1.5-yard passes, then he's throwing perfect wheel route touch passes to James White and the laser to Aguilar up the seam and getting Jonnu involved. I mean, there's a lot of promise right now,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think the Stevenson
Mike.
fumble, if the call in the field had been he was down, they would have stuck with it. It was close.
Yeah.
But you couldn't overturn it. Because you couldn't tell exactly when the ball started coming out.
I thought the exact same thing when I was watching. I said, either way that call goes, it's going to stay.
I did not get good replays of that.
No. Well, it was exactly how Fred described it. If they had called it.
I mean, ultimately that play turned out to be meaningless because the Patriots came up with their best defensive series of the game coming out of that. Unfortunately, the second fumble was not meaningless. Cost them the game.
No.
That cost them the game.
Brady in Kansas City on the Patriots postgame show. Hi, Brady.
Hi, how's it going, guys?
Good. Pish.
So my one takeaway, everyone is constantly talking about Mac Jones, and that's what everyone's going to talk about. But I think the one thing that I take away from Mac Jones outside of his performance was his mentality on the sidelines. When he got the touchdown, he immediately went back, checked got on that iPad immediately, started thinking through for next drive, getting ready on the sideline, even though the defense isn't off yet. I want to know what you guys kind of take about not his performance necessarily, and you hit on it a little bit, but his
Brady. I already talked. I talked about it, and I think it's a good point. Paul's over there shaking.
No,
his
he
head,
doesn't like the
shaking
sideline
his head
body,
and
body language.
I just knew that this was going to happen. Just give me the credit. I predicted it in the opening segment.
Okay, he's not saying he's like Tom Brady. He's just he's saying
you can't say anything good about the guy.
I think the opposite.
Paul
today.
can. No one else can.
No, I think you can't say anything bad about him, but can we not give him credit for going to the sideline and sitting on the bench? Does he need credit for that? Does that need to be part of his?
He didn't even
performance?
They wanted to give him the touchdown ball. He turned it down. Did you see that?
And he gets credit for that's check mark.
He
Mac
doesn't
Jones
care.
Didn't want the memorabilia.
He doesn't care.
Wasn't interested in the memorabilia.
That's right.
Check mark.
Yeah.
If after he had gotten his
Cam would have put a hat on it.
If after he
Cam would have to throw a touchdown pass to do that.
Okay. All right.
Can you imagine, just in all seriousness, can you imagine if the Patriots played that game today?
Oh.
with the same exact game plan, and Miami did exactly what they did to Mac Jones, how many times Cam Newton would have turned the ball over?
Oh, absolutely.
Might have one run in the red zone. And
well, he would have been running all over the place.
I mean, how many times he would have thrown the ball into the upstretched hands of a defensive lineman, which Mac did twice today. One of them was a great play.
One was almost a pick.
One was almost a pick, but I shudder to think what Cam would have done with that same game plan that Miami brought today.
But I don't think that had anything to do with Mac. I think that was a really good play by, I think it was, what was the guy's name? Brennan Scarlett, something like that. If Cam threw that, he's 6'5", he's getting passes knocked down. That's what would happen.
He's been in the league for 11 years.
No.
That's the big difference.
When you throw a screen, you're just throwing the screen. Like that. Again, I prefaced it by saying that had nothing to do with Matt.
No, I know.
That was a really good defensive play.
Yeah.
But if Cam had made the same play, it would have had everything to do with Cam.
Sure.
This is where, was sort of.
Can we reset the chi a little bit here with just a little across-the-board positivity? How nice was it to see James White involved in the run game and the pass game and make some plays?
Not so much the run game, but yes, the pass
big
game.
runs.
Yeah.
Big third down runs to move the chains. I think he had 3 of them.
I think I liked him in the pass game. It's unbelievable. You don't think he's going to get the first, and somehow he just gets
Scorched through the 2 guys to get the extra 2 yards.
It's unbelievable.
Yes.
Yeah. He's got such a nose for the sticks.
Yeah, I agree. That he was one of my goods, Freddie. It was like the combination of Cam, I don't think utilized him as well, and I think obviously everything he went through last year.
Yeah.
He looks like his normal self today.
I joke about, not so much, it's kind of a half joke, but I think they could have used Sony Michel today. But I think they could have also used J.J. Taylor today. You know?
Well, I think they thought they were going to use Ramondre Stevenson,
right.
And then he fumbled.
Yeah.
They could have used him.
But that change of pace kind of back, that, quick, scat back, I think they could have used
because,
Taylor.
You're right, Freddie, because the numbers look really good. 30 for 125, 4.2, that's rock solid. But then 35 of them came on the first play of the game. And they didn't run it in 4 trips to the red zone.
Yeah.
So, when you needed the tough yards, you didn't get them down in the red zone. Now, they got them on 3rd and shorts. A couple of them barely.
Yeah.
You want him to be the lead back and explosive and a closer and all those kind of things, and it's just he keeps scratching the surface of that, but he can't quite get over that where he can be the guy that can ice the game for you, that could put that 35-yard run up in the 4th quarter when you needed it again. It faded a little bit, and he's probably only carried the ball. I don't know how many times he's gone over 20 carries in a game, maybe two times last year, maybe. So I still feel like we're getting to know Damian Harris as in his
and I don't know
season.
if it was just because Trent Brown was up. I don't think the offensive line run blocked that well.
No, and you make a good point with Trent Brown though, because he is the best run blocker up there.
Yeah,
and he didn't play. I think he got taken out in the first or second series.
Yeah.
Marie Matt would like us to step aside again, so we will do that, and then we'll continue with the Patriots postgame show.
Though.
Oh, no. Yeah, please. You won't have time. Presented by Cyber Reason.
Defending against cyber attacks requires seeing in the dark, understanding and ending every threat to your organization on computers, mobile, and the cloud. It takes Cyber Reason. End cyber attacks from endpoints to everywhere.
TouchView Interactive is here to support your hybrid learning, distance learning, and video conferencing needs with easy-to-use tools that allow end users to collaborate, interact, and present seamlessly. TouchView Interactive offers a comprehensive line of accessories and software to support your audio-visual needs. Outfit your classrooms and presentation spaces with the future of interactive display technology. Visit touchview.com for more info. Offered by the Oakers Company, celebrating 100 years of service and support.
Opponents? I've gone up against thousands.
And there's an opponent we're all up against, COVID-19.
But there's a way to beat it. Get vaccinated.
So when it's your turn, roll up your sleeves.
And let's get to the finish line together.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com.
Normally, when Paul asks me to repeat myself, I feel like I'm stepping into a bear trap.
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Hardy.
I have a healthy amount of fear for Paul Perillo.
Should.
Why?
You know,
I
just
don't know why that is.
I feel like
I haven't been in a fight since like the 3rd grade.
Not physical fear. It's not. I'm not putting my hand on your hind quarter when I walk behind you. It's not that type of a fear.
What?
It's I don't treat you like a horse. I treat you. I think it's your wit, and I feel like you're always laying traps around for people to step in with their words.
I only do that to Fred.
You do it with me too. What do you think? I just invented this fear?
I don't really do that to you.
Paul.
I do it to Fred all the time.
Paul has been arguing
since birth.
Yeah,
it's what I do.
You know what? He's a professional arguer. He's setting up for arguments that haven't even happened yet.
I did so in the first segment, and then it came through.
I gotcha.
Yeah. It's it's because I listened to Patriots Unfiltered enough, and now it's just.
I do.
Now
it.
I'm expecting.
We're number 3. In
what?
Podcasts, New England.
That big survey. What is it? The
channel.
media channel survey there.
You know what it is.
Channel Media Market Research.
You know what it
Sports
is.
Survey.
Right. You know what it is.
We finished 3rd, and it was all write-ins. So we weren't even listed among a bunch of different, sports podcasts that you had to choose from.
Did the Bankroll Boys beat you?
No.
Okay. Do you want to talk about who beat you?
Tom Curran.
Patriots podcast, and there was a Celtics.
Locked on Celtics.
Locked on Celtics.
Oh.
Yeah.
And they were like slightly ahead of us.
Yeah.
Okay.
1 percentage point.
Just 1%.
All right.
That's
All right.
Boring. And we were 3rd.
It's not boring.
3rd.
Homer.
We beat
basically 1st.
We beat a lot of other podcasts too.
We beat them all.
Why don't you ask?
We beat them
some
all.
of them.
Ask around.
Why don't you ask about one of them in particular and ask me if we beat them?
What about the Greg Bedard podcast?
Yes, we beat that. Yes, we finished ahead of that. Wow. Despite the
in fairness, it is
double airtime that he gets then over me on the Sports Hub.
He's unhappy with me right now.
Oh, is he really? He's unhappy with everybody all the time.
What did you do?
If he heard what I just said, he would have taken that very seriously and been mad at me for like 2 weeks. Even though clearly I'm being a smartass.
He pretends it's all in good fun, but he's not having fun with any of it.
No.
How can you have fun when you watch the offensive line nonstop? What's fun about that? CJ in Kansas City on the Patriots postgame show, which is presented by Cyber Reason. 17-16 the final. Patriots lose the season opener here tonight at Gillette to the Miami Dolphins. What's up, CJ?
What's going on, gents?
How you doing?
I'm gonna call Paul out on 2 things real quick before I get to my take on the game. First thing, Paul, you haven't gotten into a fight since like 3rd grade. I'm pretty sure you tell a story about how you jacked that guy that was talking to you in the stands, you and your brother, right? You were like, "Oh, what happened?" You cold blocked him or something, right?
It's called hyperbole.
Or a lie.
That's
Whatever.
fine.
No, I
And
mean,
the second thing
I haven't been in a fight since the 3rd grade. Like, you think I went through like my entire high school life and didn't get in one scrape? Who could say that?
Everett.
There's a lot of people who've never gotten into a fight.
I grew up in Everett.
That's true.
Mean streets.
The second thing I want to call you out on.
Oh, they're not?
You have to fight in the grocery store.
You praise Mac Jones for running a lap with the offensive line from across the field during training camp, and yet tonight,
as a sign of
when you're
leadership,
going back to the sideline and being a sideline cheerleader, you're like, "Oh, what's wrong? Why does he get called out for that?"
Because I don't think that had anything to do with his performance. And I don't think the lap had anything to do with his performance. Like
Yeah,
not accepting the ball after his first touchdown pass to me is not a reason to celebrate. Like, that's not like a sign of leadership. It's not like, to me, that's a nothing burger.
No, it's a sign of focus.
Of what? Like, if he took the ball, he wasn't focused?
He didn't care about that.
Maybe more to the point, Paul, could you put together a list for next week of things in life that you feel are worthy of celebration? Because I think we could run through them in about 14 seconds.
Well,
birth of a child.
Northeastern basketball, Northeastern hockey.
Touchdowns.
And that's it.
Like, if he had celebrated that, like, I wouldn't have held
go
it.
there, you know.
Let's put it this way. This is my problem. If Mac Jones next week throws a touchdown pass and he gets all excited, are we now going to say, well, that's a bad sign? Mac Jones is really excited. Last week I liked him because he didn't get excited. But you can do no wrong. Whatever he does, everybody's going to say it's great.
That's a false. That's a false equivalent.
Okay, you know what? Wait till he does something wrong, and we'll see if people are.
I
willing
want
to
him to get
criticize.
excited after throwing a touchdown pass.
So then why are you not mad that he didn't get excited?
I'm talking about being given the ball. It's a false equivalent. He didn't care about the ball. It's like, get that out of my face.
But what,
I have things to think about.
But my only argument would be,
Fred.
what does that prove?
It proves that he was focused.
So every other quarterback who's ever played is unfocused then, because they've all taken that ball in the situation like that.
Have they? You know that?
Do I know every single one?
No, you don't know. You made that up. You just made that up.
All right, Fred, you're being argumentative for the sake of being argumentative.
I'm being argumentative.
Yes.
Okay.
Like, I mean, we're crediting a guy for not taking the ball after he gets like.
It's one thing.
But what does it prove? What is the positive?
It just shows
of that?
his mindset in that moment in time. That's all. In that moment in time.
Okay, but tell me why it's a positive.
What was he thinking about? He was thinking
The
about
game.
the
But why
next
is that-
series.
but why is that good?
Rather than what he just did.
So why is that a good thing?
Focus is a good thing generally for a quarterback of a football
But why
team.
is he not focused if he took the ball?
You know what? You're right.
That's what I'm asking.
You're right. It doesn't matter one way or the other. The only thing that
That's all I'm
matters.
saying.
The only thing that matters is touchdowns and scores. We should just read the box score.
No. See,
no.
You're both kind of being
No,
argumentative.
but what Paul's
We're
point
being
is,
argumentative.
he could have had.
Yeah, like,
he could have had.
like, I don't understand
no,
what
but
the point
Paul's
is.
point is he could have had the same game if he had taken the ball, right? Like,
But like,
it may not have mattered.
Would
But
someone
to
say
him
he
at
was,
that moment, to him it mattered. Like, I don't want to think about that. I want to think about the
and
next
that's
series.
fine. I would never criticize
like
the guy
that.
for being ready to
I
put.
didn't realize that happened.
I
missed it. I completely missed
That's
it.
another point. Like it's because it was insignificant, Mike. That's my
know.
point.
This
You
is all
just
news to me.
illustrated Mike does this a lot for
It's
me.
little things.
It was a little thing, Paul, but I think had he.
I don't think it's anything.
Okay, I think had he like celebrated and gone over, and he's
Okay, let me
like,
ask you a question,
talking it up
Paul.
with the crowd. I think we would have.
Like, I like that.
After the Harris fumble, if he had come over to the bench and been like, "Oh, shoulders down," would you have thought that was a bad thing, Mac?
No, like they just lost the game.
Okay, so he can't do anything wrong, I guess.
I think it's
The game wasn't over at that point.
No, but I'm just saying, like they just.
But instead, he came out there and he's like, "Come on, guys."
Like, oh, that's fine. Like
right.
that he didn't
That's
go
a
tuck
little
tail
thing.
and hide.
To me, that's the same
Well,
thing
that's
as the football.
Let me
That's 100,000 times more relevant than not celebrating a touchdown.
Let me give you an example of something just to show, because I think the fundamental difference is we think it's worthy of a mention, not a whole conversation, but worthy of a mention. And one thing that I did mention in the past about Brady is that after his successful drives and touchdowns, he would go over and you'd see him on the Surface Pro and he'd be talking with Josh. If things went poorly, he would go over to the bench and sulk. Now, you could argue that worked for Brady, but I never liked that, and I called him out for it. I said I didn't like his sideline demeanor, and I did like it out of Mac.
And that could not possibly illustrate my point any greater.
Good job, Hardy.
That's absolutely
You walked right into it.
everything you just said
but that's Tom
is
Brady.
1,000% accurate.
But that's Tom Brady. He can do whatever he wants.
Okay.
It's Tom Brady.
So Mac,
as long as you recognize the hypocrisy,
we're
then that's fine.
We're not comparing Mac to Tom Brady.
And Brady wasn't perfect.
Was that your boy, Freddie?
That's for
I think that was Sony.
On this set. Oh, really?
I think that was Sony up the middle.
Sony.
Brady was not perfect when he was here. And when he had bad games, we called him out for it, and I would mention
No, there was a
things
year
like
that they didn't go to the Super Bowl. You are correct.
You're such an ass. You really are.
No, I mean,
really are.
but
and by the
in all
way,
seriousness,
for
you
the
just
record,
illustrated my point.
Okay, and you illustrated my point too.
He celebrated like no other, but somehow found a way to be the greatest winner in the history of team sports. I don't know how he did it.
And by the way, whatever gang you ran with in Everett, remember I grew up outside of Detroit, and generally
Okay,
I am
you're probably a little tougher than me.
I am unimpressed with Boston's bad neighborhoods. And that includes
I didn't grow up in Boston.
That includes the surrounding
Everett's
suburbs.
not Boston. Don't let anybody tell you that.
Yeah, well, I delivered pizzas in Pontiac, and if you want to talk about bad neighborhoods,
in a Pontiac,
it was actually a Chevy Nova, but that's okay.
I don't
77.
I don't think that was Sony. I think they just showed Henderson.
Okay.
I know you're very excited about. Fred had the snark attack today when Ramondre Stevenson fumbled. It could have used Sony.
Dan in the UK.
That was Fred unfiltered.
Dan's overseas. This is an overseas call. We have to get to Dan. Hello, Dan.
Oh, Matthew Stafford. I'm going to love watching you.
So I was just going to call in and talk about the fact that when Uche pulverized the left tackle, we looked at it on replay, and it seems he just tripped. The left tackle tripped up over
That's
the left
what Paul
foot.
said.
He did trip.
Yeah, but
it
Uche
was still
was there
still
to
a
push
great-
him over.
But it's still a great play by Uche. I'm not going to take the sack
was a
away
big
from
play.
him. But I mean, I think Uche made him trip.
Yeah, power.
But
ready to
yes,
push him.
I said that to you when we saw the
You
replay.
did. I think it was
Did
just
you
a
see this
trip.
throw?
I know. Well, sometimes I have to tune those things.
To
out.
my guy, Jefferson.
But they're going to get killed because Matthew Stafford was very excited running down the field after it. So,
see,
Are we not? So
he doesn't even argue the same argument.
No. It's fine. I want to know if we
that
can.
now that was accurate that you said. That was snark.
Are we only?
Fred was accurate.
Are
on
we
that.
only allowed to talk about things on the field from here on out? Only
No,
things
you can
that
talk
happen.
about- we can talk about anything you want.
Okay, but you don't
But
think
you don't
they're
see the
worthy of
difference
discussion?
between talking about and and then he went over and it was like he was just all business. It was kind of cool to see. He was all business. Okay, that I can accept, but not even talking about his.
Isn't that what we said?
That's not what the caller said. We're not even talking about his performance. I don't even want to talk about. But did you see him on the sideline? He went over and he was like all steely and resolved, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Dan,
that must have been worth the one touchdown and the 4 red zone trips they had.
Dan, have you even asked your question yet? I'm sorry. I apologize. I wasn't sure.
Yeah. So the question.
Yeah, he was talking about Eichenberg,
After
right?
Mac's first play, it looked like he got really confused and completely messed up, and then the offense was closed down, and then they gradually opened it back up again. Do you think that's something we're likely to sort of see in future weeks, where it sort of opens up as the week goes on, or as the game goes on?
Yeah,
or?
he's going to build on this.
Yeah.
Like I said, there was a lot to learn for him in this game. It was a great first experience for him.
And that will be
That's
the
a
key
great
to
way to
see.
put it. Yeah.
That'll be the key to see how he builds each
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
Does he continue to make the same mistakes, or does he put the mistakes behind him and start building off of the success?
Right. I think the Dolphins ran a lot of exotics at
They
times.
did. There was nothing vanilla about
No.
that. They went after him today,
Yeah.
and I thought he handled it great.
Dan, thanks for the call. We appreciate it. Just mistakes that Mac made.
He had a couple of retreating throws that I'd like to see him
The back
stand
foot-
in and take the hit, but
he took some hits too.
But he was really good against the blitz today. Really good, I
Yeah,
thought.
and that's what I feel like. You came out of camp like that one practice. He had a bunch of snaps against the Giants. Like with a young quarterback, this is your point of view now. Like you just want to get experience. Like as bad as this loss was, and it stinks, and you had it. It's still a great learning experience for him, better than anything he got all summer, and a lot to build off.
So
of.
if you're Bill Belichick, what do you say to your team? Forget about what he said to the press because that doesn't count. But what do you say to your team after this game?
I mean, I think you look at yourself and say, this is when we let go because we didn't play the kind of football that we want to play, which is clean and hard and 60 minutes. And, there wasn't anything they necessarily did. They had some twists for us. It's the first game. We knew this is our first time, a lot of these guys playing together. But through all that, we were able to persevere. And really, it came down to one big mistake that probably cost us the game. So, I mean, I think it's encouraging. Because
What he would say to the team, I'm going to guess he's going to say, we can't win doing that.
Yeah.
We're not good enough to win committing 8 penalties and turning the ball over twice, including once in the red zone. We can't do those things.
Yeah, and he's going to say there's very few teams are. Like, you can't win in this league by doing that. But he's going to point out all those things. They're fixable. And I think he's going to end, like Monday, the turn to page day as on a positive. So going into Wednesday, well, they probably won't have Tuesday off this week. They don't get that until later.
Why is that?
Usually,
Tuesday's
an
an off
I
day.
mean Victory Monday. I mean
Victory
Monday
Monday.
off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they won't get Monday off.
Tuesday's an off day.
Yeah.
Oh, they're coming in
They'll
tomorrow.
come in tomorrow. And I think he'll end tomorrow on a positive note going into Wednesday. When you start focusing on the Jets.
Well, yeah, I think after losses, you generally are more positive because you need to pick your team up.
Yeah.
It's when they win that you got to bring them down a couple of pegs.
Yeah, especially because this is one of those losses where you can point to a handful of specific things that were mistakes. And it wasn't, we just got outclassed. We just can't keep pace with a team that can put 45 points on the board. It was, we're there. We got some stops when we needed to. But there's a lot of good to pull from this one. It's just one of those frustrating losses where one play.
And players will never say this, but if Matt came in and just, pooped himself, players would be like, uh-oh. It's going to be a long season.
Right.
But I think that as a player, you got to be like, okay, we got a quarterback here.
Yeah, I mean, a 1-point loss to the Dolphins at home to open the season, it seems like it would be deflating. I don't know if they're going to be deflated by this loss. I don't know if they're
Get angry. Get angry. Be better.
Angry, yes.
Be better,
I don't
Paul.
think deflate. I agree with you,
Yeah.
Freddie.
Yeah.
I know you always make fun of me, but like that, I think that's an anger loss, not a down loss.
Yeah.
Like,
There is some anger coming in through the emails to webradio@patriots.com. Greg Nessing says, "Where's Fred's donut? Did he eat both boxes during the game?" Which I don't think is.
already?
I had a cinnamon donut on the way in.
He had it before he came into
no
the studio.
jelly today.
All right.
I don't think you're ready
no
for this
jelly.
jelly.
Wow.
Well, his body's too bootylicious.
Yeah.
Ray's in Atlanta. Hello, Ray.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hi.
How y'all doing?
Hey, Ray.
Hey, it was a great game, nevertheless, and it's a learning experience, just like one of the guys said. And we have fair weather fans, we have Super Bowl fans, we have bandwagoners, and we have diehard fans. Can't please everybody. And the fair weather fans shouldn't hate or give up on Mac for one game loss. It was a great game. We didn't get the job done, but we're testing the waters, like y'all said, in your own way. And it wasn't bad for a rookie starter quarterback. He did the best he could by himself. I do believe if Cam and Hoyer was playing, we would have put scores on the board in the passing and running game with the relief of Mac. And the kicker saves us and sustains us all the time. And our offense was great, minus that fumble that, cost us the game. The defense sucked today, honestly. And, we have to learn from this loss to see what we're made of and capable of. And, it's just, like I said, in a nutshell, it's just a learning experience. And Mac did great, and you just got to see what we're made of. And that's all we can do.
All right, Ray. Thank you very much. You think the defense flat out sucked today?
I don't.
Is that fair? I don't think so.
I don't think they were great.
I think people
they made some plays.
They get frustrated because the other team makes plays, but at the end of the day, you gave up 17 points. Did Buffalo's defense stink today? I don't think so. I think it played pretty well. I think as well as Pittsburgh's. But they gave up some critical points at times.
Yeah, the block punt for a touchdown killed Buffalo today.
Yeah, but that's not their defense.
No, I know. That's
yeah.
Like, do you think the Patriots offense played great today?
Not necessarily.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah.
I know, again, the numbers for both offense and defense will tell you the Patriots played great today. They got almost 400 yards of offense.
Yeah.
And only allowed about 260. But I thought there were things about the performances that were good, not great.
Yeah.
Not as good as those numbers indicate.
Yeah, one of the things I kind of keep looking at and I'm trying to wrap my brain around, and I think it's a positive, is just that you had 4 guys, 2 with 6 catches, 2 with 5 catches, and it seems like Mac did a good job of working the ball around. I mean, last year I feel like we had maybe Myers and had like 6 catches, and
that's
then it's
the
like
difference in the passing. Like
so
like Ray says, like if Cam had played, they might have been able to score in those. Cam would have never been in the red zone 4 times on that defense today.
Yeah.
Never would have he completed. They had 14, 15 play drives. There's no way Cam did that last year.
It looked like this game was going to be like, if it's not Myers, it's nobody to start.
Right.
But then Aguilar got into the mix.
So it's promising. It's also I'm also still just troubled that there's not a lot of explosive plays. There's not a lot of big plays yet. I mean, that one from Harris, maybe the biggest one, but that's what I think they're going to need. And unfortunately, you got to draw a comparison to the opener where these teams can score quickly, and it will. And I can't help but feel like what we watched out there between those two teams is B-level NFL right now. It's not A-level, and we all want to get back to A-level, but in all honesty, this is
problem
not,
right now
different.
is like, Hardy, you talk about where the difficulties come in the red zone because the windows are smaller. It's just a smaller field that you're dealing with. Right now, the Patriots, no matter where they are on the field, are playing with a smaller field. They haven't stretched it yet. They really didn't do any of that tonight. So they're kind of playing red zone offense the whole entire field.
Right. I think they had one throw downfield.
Yeah.
Well, there was one explosive play that doesn't count because it got called back. And does it really count as? Do you even look at that as saying, well, they have the potential for an explosive play? Well, no, you needed your left guard to hold an edge rusher. So, no, you can't count on that as being a thing going forward because it's obviously not in you. You need to buy extra time by creating.
get
the
there.
That's what I
They'll
thought.
get
Like
there.
the tight ends today, for the most part, I thought were plays where Mac sort of ad-libbed a little bit and got out of the pocket, dumped them off. I think 2 of Henry's 3 catches were like that.
Yeah.
Where it was just kind of like, oh,
Not really
I got nothing.
in
I'm going to
time,
throw it
yards
to the
after catch.
sideline. Good plays. Again, instead of taking a sack or having to throw it away, you find a way to make it 2nd and 2.
Right.
Instead
well,
of
he was on the
2nd
run,
and 10.
Henry made himself available. I mean, that was, it was like an 8-9 yard gain.
TJ says Paul is missing the point on Mac and not taking the ball. TJ, please explain it to him.
Yeah, I think the debate is a little misplaced. It wasn't for me whether he was focusing or celebrating. He did celebrate with the team.
Right.
He didn't take the ball at that point. The impression I got is he didn't want to focus on his individual accomplishments and accolades. He was focusing on his team, and his team was still losing the game at that point. So whoever gets the ball, gets the ball. Let's get back and figure out how we're going to win this game.
Well, first of all, they took the lead on the play. Second of all, I never said that it was anything about other than what you just said it was. I totally agree with you. There's no debate. I think
Okay,
that
but
I think Fred and some of the callers had said that it was a sign he was just focusing on the next possession.
Yeah.
I would not argue with that at all, and I'm not. I'm just not giving that as a, and he even did that. Like I don't. I think it's rather meaningless. That's all.
Well, compare it to something that Brown would do. The receiver, he'd take the ball and he'd put it in his trophy and say, "Hey,
I'd hate to someday say Mac Jones turned out to have a career like Antonio Brown on the field. By the way, not off the field.
TJ, I hear what you're saying. It's just
it's tough.
I'd hate to have him be.
It's tough doing a show with Paul.
The Antonio Brown of quarterbacks. Be the best at his position for 6 years. I'd hate for that to happen.
It was another unfortunate comparison. I made one with Tom Brady. TJ just made one with Antonio Brown.
And
you stepped into the bear trap.
But it starts off like the premise of I'm missing the point. No, that's exactly the point. It's a sign of he's focusing on the next possession.
Okay.
That's the point I think all 4 of us would agree on.
Moving forward, Alan in Texas has some expectations. What are they, Alan?
Well, first of all, I want to say that it was good to see that the offense looked much more promising than it did last year. It looked like the typical Patriots offense. Granted, they have a long way to go. Mac looked promising in dealing with the blitz and that he was under pressure all day. It was unfortunate to see Harris fumble the ball because I didn't really see actually how he fumbled the ball. It seemed like he just kind of lost control. I'm not really sure how he fumbled the ball.
I think they kind of get stripped out.
I didn't think it was a great defensive play that forced him to lose the ball.
Well, that's even worse for
Agreed.
Harris. Then.
It is.
Agreed. And I was disappointed with the front 7 of the defense. The Miami's offensive line they had some rookie in there, and the early at the pregame, the guy behind the lines was talking about how concerned he was with the offensive line, and I felt like if we have such a strong front 7, I don't think they really took advantage of it enough. So I was a little disappointed with the front 7 play. Obviously the back end of the defense is very concerning. Guys were pretty wide open. There was a couple of big drop passes that would have given Miami possibly a bigger lead than they had. That being said, I think Mac Jones is a promising young quarterback. We have a lot of young guys that hopefully will learn as we go along, and hopefully we're going to improve. But there's still a long way to go for this team, I believe.
Yeah,
thanks.
I agree.
It's a long way to go, and it's a long season.
And I mean, every play should have looked like
go.
that Uche one. We should have seen guys getting in there.
All right, let's get to the head coach here after the 17-16 loss at Gillette Stadium tonight to open up the season. Here is Bill Belichick.
This is obviously a disappointing game. We just didn't do enough. Just didn't do enough to win. Had our chances, had our opportunities, but really all the way across the board, we just got to do a better job. And really, that's about the story of it. There's a lot of things that could have helped us. So we just got to have to coach better, play better, execute better, play better situational football than we did today. And I just missed too many opportunities to win.
Bill, can you just touch on the ball security? It seemed to be an issue today with four fumbles.
Yeah, it's not good enough. Got to take care of the ball better. Too many ball security, penalties, too many little missed things, situational football, just all of it.
Bill, just what would you tell us about your impressions of Mac? Just the way he stepped up in the pocket, took a lot of hits, and seemed to be very poised as a rookie.
Yeah, I thought we all competed hard. We just all got to do a better job. Yeah, I mean, Mac competed hard. I thought we had a lot of guys competing hard, but we just gotta perform better as a team.
What are your thoughts on defensive performance? Some issues early on, but particularly a number of plays from the linebacker core that had swung a number of key plays, like Matt Judon leading to the interception in the fourth quarter there.
Yeah, I mean, look, there were some good things, but in the end, it wasn't enough. We didn't play well enough in any phase of the game, offense, defense, special teams. We were enough to be competitive, enough to lose by a point, but it's not enough to win. We just have to play better and coach better. Just got to do a better job.
Yeah, Bill. Adrian Phillips gave you a chance to win in that game. Big stops there in the fourth quarter. Can you speak on that?
Yeah, again, we made some good plays, but we just didn't make enough of them, and we didn't make them at the right times, and so just gonna have to do more than that.
Bill, is there any update on status for Trent Brown?
Yeah, no, I don't have any updates.
Sorry, Bill. I would love to know just your impression of the atmosphere. You did have fans back. Just a sense of what it was like today.
Yeah, it's been great all year with that. Yeah, and it's good energy in the stands, and there wasn't in road games and wasn't in Washington games. So.
Is there anything in particular with Jonnu Smith that stood out to you?
Yeah, we'll have to watch the film and look at it a little more closely. I don't know.
Bill, forgive if this is a repeat question, but how did you feel Mac Jones played tonight?
Yeah, we covered that.
And his ball security tonight, how did you feel about that in particular?
Yeah, well, I mean, just in general, we have to do a better job with that, obviously. All right, good. Anything else?
That was good. All right. Thank you very much, head coach Bill Belichick there after the 17-16 loss to the Dolphins in Miami.
I think, to be honest, I don't think that was the A-list of reporters. I think a lot of them stayed up in the press box and were just writing. I don't think they went down. Like, I didn't hear Reese. I didn't hear Curran. I didn't hear Perry.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
They were probably all writing or doing some sort of
I don't think I heard
TV
Karen in there.
Yeah.
No.
I don't think it was the A-list.
Yeah, it was just like some strange
Other
questions.
than Sanchez.
I mean, the ball security question is relevant. I mean, I would have liked to have asked it, a different way to maybe see if he could get into it, maybe what led to some of those problems or something like that. But, I mean, obviously the coach is not happy that they put the ball on the ground 4 times.
Right.
Right.
I mean, what would you? But Paul,
they were lucky they only lost 2 of them.
Just as a thought experiment, what would you ask? Like,
I don't know.
I don't know
I
what
really don't know.
Like,
I'd be like, talk about the loss.
Are you going to work on ball security in practice this week? Like, obviously.
We get a lot of criticism, as a whole, in the media, because we seemingly ask a lot of dumb questions, but it's not easy, especially after losses, to come up with really well thought out, poignant questions every time, and especially with Bill, because you know how reluctant he is to answer the questions on a consistent basis.
Well,
I mean, a generic question about the atmosphere in the crowd. He's like, it's been like that all year. It's the first game, Bill. It's been like that all. And then I think he kind of realized it and started talking about the preseason, to which Fred's point was dead on. Like, the 3 preseason games they played were in half-full stadiums.
Right. It wasn't like this.
No.
So Bill was being snarky there, like, "Oh, did you forget that we played in front of fans already?"
I think
what he totally dismissed the spirit of the
question.
and missed an opportunity to just say, "Yeah, it's great to have the fans back in full force," and we thought that they really helped us today. He missed that opportunity because he was in a bad mood. But I think
otherwise he would have probably talked about it at length.
One of the questions, though, and I don't know if he'd answer it, but we talked about this being a game that there was a lot for Mac to learn from. So, Bill, from what the Dolphins defense showed Mac Jones, do you feel like there was a lot for him to learn from in this game?
Yeah, well, we all got a lot to learn.
Well, okay, I know he probably would.
He's right, but that's a good question, and you're right with the answer because that's exactly how we answered the Mac Jones question.
Right.
Yeah.
Email here.
But that's a good question, like the stuff that he learns. He saw a lot of stuff today.
Email here from Chris in the UK. He said, "I'm so annoyed with that loss. Miami was not a better team than us.
I agree.
We lost the game with stupid penalties and fumbles rather than them beating us. Normally, I would say, after tonight they were the better team and they did this. I agree with Chris. I don't think Miami was a better football team.
And you know what?
Not today. Not today.
I think Chris might have crystallized my thinking here. I could have come out of this game thinking we're not as good as the Dolphins, but I'm not. I'm thinking we were better than them and we should have beat them. And so that's a positive for me because I didn't know going in how we were going to be. I really didn't. I would hope that we were, but I don't know. But I think we showed that we should have won that game. We're the better team. Okay, good. So now I know we're better than the Miami Dolphins, despite having lost that game, and we can build on that.
Now, having said that, the Dolphins weren't flat out bad either. And Tua showed me things from time to time. They did weird things. Bringing in Jacoby Brissett on the 3rd and 1, I kind of get that, and I see what you're doing.
They both worked.
But to leave him out there for the following play to try and draw the defense, what are you doing now?
I thought they had a chance to put the foot on the gas there and see if they could get.
Do you think that was a little bit of a shot at Bill?
No.
This is
not at all.
We have a running quarterback. You had one, and we know how to use two guys.
No, I think it was strategy. I mean, you have the big quarterback who's going to get the first down on a quarterback sneak, as opposed to a little guy who clearly isn't a best option.
I would love to entertain it, Fred. I don't think it's the case. And I would love to say, and we're doing it with a guy that you had too. It's like all of that. No,
I don't think that came into play at all. I mean, I love the soap opera angle. We could talk about it on PU all week. But I just think that Jacoby Brissett's a pretty big guy, and Tua's not. Tua, to me, I think you can win with Tua if you have everything going well. Like, I think that there were times today, those slants that Freddie was talking about up in the press box too, snap, read, throw, pretty accurate. I mean, I think the two quarterbacks are very similar, but I think Mac is already better. I think there's more things that Mac can do despite the fact that he can't run, because Tua clearly is unwilling to run. So his athleticism is completely mitigated. And he was, I think, in trouble every time he got off script. Yeah. Whereas Mac got off script a few times and was in trouble, but there were other times that he got off script and he made a play.
Yeah, and
Tua didn't make anything off script.
I was impressed by Mac's pocket awareness.
Yeah.
He seemed to step up at the right time and avoid pressure. I thought he
had his moments.
He kept his composure.
I agree.
Except early on, he had that really boneheaded play.
If everything was perfect for both guys, they were both really good.
Yeah.
But I think
I'm
Mac
not really impressed with the Dolphins.
I wasn't. Well,
Overall,
there were elements of the Dolphins I was impressed with, but not a lot, and certainly not Tua. I was not impressed with Tua at all.
Tua was willing to run on the one play where he was clearly down, but he was willing to run when he got up and knew he wouldn't be touched, and he thought he was going to fool 65,000 people and 18 television cameras.
Yeah, they had
that
one play where it was a design keep right up the middle. It just opened up for him, and he ran for like 15 yards.
We're going to get to all of your calls, more of your emails, and Mac Jones, what he had to say in his post-game press conference when we come back from the final segment of the Patriots Postgame Show presented by Cyber Reason.
Defending against cyber attacks requires seeing in the dark, understanding and ending every threat to your organization on computers, mobile, and the cloud. It takes Cyber Reason. End cyber attacks from endpoints, to everywhere.
Opponents? I've gone up against thousands.
And there's an opponent we're all up against, COVID-19.
But there's a way to beat it. Get vaccinated.
So when it's your turn, roll up your sleeves.
And let's get to the finish line together.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com.
And that's the moment I want to paint them. I could have painted Bill Belichick.
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Hardy.
All right, back to the phones here, 855-PATS-500. David is in New York. David, you are up. Talking with Mike Dussault, Fred Kirsch, Paul Perillo, me, Hardy. What's up, David?
Hey, guys. Disappointing loss, obviously, but I like the way Mac played. Wasn't so impressed with the run defense or really the play calling in general. I thought we were too predictable. It was always run, screen pass, fourth down, always that. But I did have an interesting stat to bring up to you guys. I found out that Mac Jones is the first rookie quarterback with a 70% completion percentage in his first game with more than 30 passes.
There you go. I love it.
There you go.
And he turned down that ball when they gave it to him. I love
Here
it.
I was way wrong in that first segment.
Here we go.
It's pretty obvious.
Here we go. Here we go.
Let me focus on the
We
first.
did hit 17 foul balls.
Let's focus in on the first part of his call because we have an email here that kind of says the same thing. This is from Vincent. 100% this Patriots loss is on Josh. Multiple opportunities were missed by Josh calling running plays on second down and short. Called the game so tight we lost from we lost from a single mistake. If Josh would have taken a shot or two downfield, who knows how this game turns out? I understand he's trying to keep the young quarterback out of third and long. Nevertheless, trust your quarterback to make a good decision.
I would actually say that Josh put on a little bit of a clinic today. Like, you took a guy in his first career start and racked up, was it 389 yards of offense?
Total.
He threw for 281.
No, 389 yards of offense or something like that.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
I don't think they ran the ball. I don't think they were dominant running the ball. So it wasn't like, well, you were running it down their throat all day. They had a 35-yard run in the first play, and after that, yards were tough to come by on the ground.
393.
393. Like, somehow converting 11 out of 16 third downs led to run, screen pass, punt. Fourth down punt. Like, that didn't happen all day.
That didn't happen.
Like, we just have this.
They had a lot of
They
third
lose
shorts.
games, and it's always on the coaches and the play calling. Like, the play calling today, Mac Jones threw the ball 39 times in his first ever game. First ever game, he let him throw it 30. I didn't
think that was going to happen.
I was hoping for 30, right? I said, can you just get me to 30? Because I figured they'd run it 30 times. And they did run it 30 times. Can you just get to 30 passes? They ran it. They threw it 39 times. And they weren't chasing.
In a close game, right.
Right. They weren't chasing. It wasn't because they had to. It was because they wanted to. I don't have any criticism for Josh in the play calling today.
No, I think they did a great job for what they asked of Mac, and I think that's what everybody's saying. Everybody's feeling pretty positive about the quarterback, and when we're sitting for this, this whole organization needs that quarterback. I feel pretty good about it, and it's just unfortunate that a couple key mistakes ruined the game.
The only devil's advocate that I could put, because I kind of agree with the phrase that Hardy had at the very beginning, saying like that kind of offense, what we saw that looked kind of normal, that looks sustainable. I would agree with Hardy. The only thing I would say is do you really think you're going to go 11 for 16 on like if you play the same kind of style,
Right.
are you going to be that efficient every week? That's hard.
Yeah, and but
That's
plus
hard.
too,
but maybe you won't have to face all those third downs every
That's
week.
the thing.
And you're walking into this
right.
game not knowing anything, and now you're going to start to get to know, oh, this is how this is what it needs to be. This is what we like. This is what we can start to go to. Whereas, like you talked about the Seattle game last year, where it was like, man, they take away Edelman, what are we going to do? You know, and it felt more balanced tonight. I agree that the offense looked more like what we're used to. They got to be better. They need Damian Harris. He's got to bounce back from this. They're going to have to lean on him a lot.
The key to everything is going to be what happens when the defenses start to adjust to the kinds of throws that obviously Mac is most comfortable making. That might not happen this year. It might not happen until next year. A lot of times the league is kind of slow to make those kinds of adjustments. But what happens when there's adjustments made? How does Josh respond to that?
Right. Red Zone Hardy checking in. Matthew Stafford looks great in that Rams helmet.
How is this? How are you doing with
It
this? By the way,
de-accentuates his moon face. I don't know what it. I think it's darker padding on the inside.
Hey, what's wrong
Whatever.
with moon faces, man?
If you put a helmet on, I think plenty, especially the Lions helmet with the light padding on the inside.
I felt the same way. Like when I put a football helmet on, I'm like, God damn, my head looks so big, and this stupid thing looks like it's bursting
Look
out.
like the kazoo. Hello, dum-dums.
Kyle said,
Damn, I got a big ass head.
"Someone give Mike a hug. My guy looks so defeated. It's okay. We got a lot of
should have
shit
seen
to
him
go."
about an hour
I'm
ago.
all right. Oh,
Do you want a hug?
Frustrating. Not from you.
I was glad we had company
Fred?
in the elevator because I was
I don't
going
need
to do a wellness check on
I'm
Mike.
ready to go next. I want next week to come quickly. I want
Jets.
to. Let's
I
go.
know you're fine.
So
I'm asking,
what's the
would
spread
you give
next
him a
week?
hug?
No.
Okay.
I'm going to preface this by saying I know what it is.
But it's say Patriots 4 -4.
What's the question?
What's the spread next week?
Robin in Florida. Hold on 1 second. I didn't mean to pull you
Well,
up. So
And
quick.
I
Just hold
said
on.
I'm prefacing this by I know what it is.
The Jets get 3, right? Because they're home.
That's Patriots -4 by a touchdown.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I'm
Maybe
gonna
5.
say it's 6.
I'm gonna say
Three-
Patriots
three and a half.
-5.
It's 3.5.
Got a feel for
Right
the league.
now, 3.5.
Yeah, according to
Wow.
people on the Twitter machine.
Okay.
Wow.
That sounds about right.
Okay.
I
All
was
right.
surprised it was not bigger.
Robin, what do you got for us?
That's what she,
Yeah, I just
that's
want to
what
say a
she
couple of
said.
things real quick here because, really disappointed. I think Ivan Fears lost us this game.
Oh,
Ivan Fears.
Oh, we won't tell him.
Damien, just whatever you do, just go down. We got the field goal. We're going to win this game. Our defense will take care of it. And also,
Oh, that's
it's
that's
just
not
so-
that
it's
that's that's
so
that's not
deflating
true
that
though.
we
Hold on.
lost to a guy that I'm here with my girlfriend. We're gonna see her grandmother in about a month. Her grandmother could throw me those lateral passes that Tua was throwing. We lost to a guy that threw lateral passes that my girlfriend's grandmother could throw.
What?
That's not unacceptable. He didn't go down the field. He threw lateral passes.
Okay.
And we
He didn't go
lost.
down the field.
He had
Tua
completions of
told me
30, 36, and 18.
And I'm very upset. And good night. I got to work tomorrow. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah,
all
okay.
right.
So you don't want to have anybody.
No, he doesn't.
sort
No,
of
you don't want to
disagree with you. Okay.
Ivan Fears.
I mean, I'm not saying those passes downfield should have been caught, but they were.
And I don't think that he was impressive.
Yeah.
Tua, but to say he never threw it downfield, they threw the ball downfield more than I thought.
I
they
thought
would.
Parker carved him up a couple of times. I mean, that guy alone was.
And I thought they did a good job designing plays to play into his strengths, but I see that as a weakness because they have to all right, we got to just do a little pop pass here because we know that you can't run the ball. It just felt too much like they're still working around Tua, and this guy's
I think they are working around
first
Tua
round
because
pick.
I don't think they're sold on him. So keep
I heard-
an eye on the Deshaun Watson stuff. with him.
there was. I heard rumors that they are still very interested in Watson.
So the other
and
part,
that Houston had this thing like the number 6. If any team can put together a combination of players and draft picks that equal 6, they will make a deal.
yeah, I don't think they have any interest in making a deal. Like supposedly, according to Jay Glazer, they turned down 3 1s and 3 3s. Like if you turn that down, you're not interested in trading.
No, you're
Yeah,
not.
I mean the picks would have to be all ones
But
and.
San Francisco moved up to the 3rd spot to get Mac.
to
and,
steal Mac.
Yeah.
Yeah, and somehow took Trey Lance. Anyway, we have to get Mac Jones is
on the line?
getting ready to talk.
He's not on the line.
Real quick, I just want to address that. Ivan Fears needs to just tell Damian Harris to get down. That's the like they needed a touchdown in that drive. You want to end the game, you want to win the game, Put a touchdown and make Tua have to match a touchdown.
Right.
Don't let him go 40 yards on a drive and have Jason Sanders kick the game-winning field goal, because that could have happened.
Yeah, you don't want that.
You needed a touchdown there. There was still a lot of time left. The Dolphins had to get
no
two
guts,
first-
no glory.
The Dolphins had to get 2 first downs after they fumbled.
It's
right?
one of the first things I
2.
said. I said, look,
Which is another example of the defense wasn't as good as the yardage indicated.
Right. And one of the reasons why I didn't feel terrible about it, because I think they probably would have ended up settling for a field goal there, and that did not ensure victory.
Oh, I was already starting to stress about that. I was already starting to stress about.
Is there a worse lead in football than a 1 or 2 point lead?
No. 2 points.
When you lose the game on a field goal, it's the worst lead in football.
Especially with the secondary playing the way they were. One big shot, boom, field goal.
Let's see if Mac Jones addresses his refusal of his first touchdown pass football and his demeanor on the sideline in his post-game press conference. Here's the quarterback.
Hey, Mac, despite the loss, what are your just overall thoughts on your first NFL game with the New England Patriots?
Yeah, I think we can get better. That's just how we have to look at it. Definitely wasn't good enough, starting with me. Yeah, so we got to watch the film, and we lost, so it's not good enough.
Hey, Mac, Mac right here.
Yeah.
Can you take us through the first drop back? It was ruled a sack and a fumble that Jonnu recovered. Just what did you see and what happened on that play?
Yeah, we just were running a play in the red zone, or high red zone, and I should have just thrown it away. It was that simple, but yeah, just throw it away and move on to the next down.
Hey, Mac.
Hey.
I'm just wondering, did the Dolphins surprise you at all with anything they threw at you defensively?
No, I just tried to stick to what I was taught, and we can do a better job. I can do a better job just going through my reads and communicating. So I'll improve on my communication, and we'll make sure that we're better. It wasn't good enough.
Mac, how you feeling? It seemed like you took a lot of big shots during the game.
Not really. I mean, I feel good, but my body feels good, but it wasn't good enough, and we gotta just come back tomorrow and get ready to work. Like the shots I took, some were my fault. I need to get the ball out quicker, and that's part of football. So you have to expect to get hit. And our offensive line played good, and they're going to get better, and we're going to work together because it takes all of us. They're a great group of guys, but I think we can definitely improve on our communication, and that's what we're going to do.
After that first play, it seemed like you really settled in. Did it feel that way to you?
I mean, it's not really about me. My job is to be the quarterback, and that's to either hand the ball off or throw it, and I can do a better job. And everyone else, I thought they played hard, but we can play even harder, and we're just going to go up from here.
After that first touchdown, your teammates were trying to give you the ball. Why wouldn't you take it?
Because, I mean, that doesn't really matter. It was, one touchdown. We got to score more. But it's not like the game was over right there. But, I mean, we got to do better in the red zone and get more touchdowns, and we will.
Sorry, to your right, Mac.
Yeah.
I know you're so disappointed, but are you able for a minute to reflect on making your NFL debut as a rookie, and were you able to enjoy any parts of it? If so, what?
Yeah, I mean, that's something Josh told me. Just enjoy the day. You'll never play a rookie year opening game again, but that's not how I wanted it to go. So, yeah.
Hey, Mac, can you just walk us through the 3rd and 11, I think the completion to James White? How much does that go back to what you guys did during OTAs and also training camp?
Yeah, James is an awesome guy. He always knows what to do. And we have a lot of guys like that on our team, and I need to get better at knowing what to do so I can get them the ball, because they're all good playmakers, and we have a really good offensive line. And we have a good play caller, a great play caller, and we got to execute what he calls quickly, efficiently, and perfectly.
Hey, Mac, after Damian's fumble, we saw you on the sideline kind of, getting in the defense and getting everyone on the sideline going. Is that something that you're comfortable with right away? I mean, is that something that you've over the past month or two developed here in Foxborough?
I think, being the quarterback, I need to do a better job demanding better in practice. Like sometimes I just let things slide, myself included, and it's not good enough. So I'm going to try and be more vocal, and I am a vocal person, but it's kind of a new situation, and I can be better. But it starts with me, defense. I can, try and hype them up and stuff, and they played great, and we got to do better on offense. So we'll do that.
Back here on your right. Have you had a chance to talk to Damien after his fumble? And if so, what was your message to him?
Yeah, I mean, Damien's obviously very disappointed, but it doesn't go all on Damien. There's a lot of things that I could have done to do better, to not even be in that situation, take some bigger chunk plays, and he played his heart out. It is what it is. He's going to be better from it, and, he's a great dude, and he's going to work hard, and that's what he does, and that's what we're all going to do. All right.
There's Mac Jones in his post-game press conference here on the Patriots Postgame Show presented by Cyber Reason. So you okay with everything that he said about him not taking the football, Paul?
I'm extremely impressed with the entirety of his press conference. I thought there were examples where some of the questions were leading him to talk about the amount of pressure he was under and the amount of hits he took, and he was having none of it. At one of the answers was he went so far as to say some of the pressure that I had to take was on me.
Yep.
For not, which I'm sure is true, by the way.
Get rid of the ball quicker.
I have to get rid of the ball quicker. But those are the kinds of quotes that will endear you to the offensive line. Again, leadership. Not talking about what that translates to more like touchdowns. Leadership is part of it. And you did get your question, Hardy. They asked about the ball.
Did you find it? Did you find the ball?
Maybe if they had scored 4 touchdowns, he would have accepted one of them.
Mike and I wanted him desperately just come out there and say, guys, I have to make this quick. I can't find my touchdown ball. I've been looking for it anywhere. Did anybody see what happened to it? Maybe if there's a camera guy in here right now.
That's all he cares about.
Yeah, that's
Just
all he
wants the
cared
ball.
about. This is interesting, too. I'm reading from Andrew Callahan in the Herald, who said that J.C. Jackson had faced Tua twice now, lost both matchups, but he's still not impressed by him. Asked about the interception in the 17-16 loss, Jackson indicated the Pats were expecting Tua to throw them the ball sometime during the season opener because we were in his face the whole game. The front seven was crushing him the whole game. That's what Tua do. If he doesn't have his first read, he's just going to throw the ball up. And that's when we capitalize on defense when he makes mistakes like that.
Well, it took like a pinball interception to get one of those. This is also why I don't think J.C. Jackson is long for this organization.
I totally agree with you.
Holy moly, J.C.
And by the
contrast.
What he just described, and we spent the whole show saying how we didn't really think much of Tua's performance.
Neither did J.C.
That happened one play, the whole game. The
threw
play
it
that
up?
he just described, maybe 2, but really I think only 1, because I think the first time he just made a bad throw. I think he had the guy, and the one that Devin McCourty almost picked off in the first half.
Yeah,
I think he had a guy and he missed him. The one that he ended up getting intercepted, even though it hit 2 of his receivers first.
Bing bang boom.
It hit one receiver and went off another receiver for the Dolphins. That was a don't look and just heave it. That was a bad play. But the rest of what J.C. Jackson is describing did not happen today.
And even if that's what they said pregame, like getting prepared for the Dolphins, this is what Tua's tendency is. You never repeat that.
Of course,
you never repeat.
Even
that.
if he did it like 10 times and you came away with 5
Well,
picks.
That's what the contrast is so striking. And Mac Jones, who's been doing this thing for 3-4 months, and it sounds like he is fully immersed in the school of how to do things here. J.C. Jackson's been here 3 years.
4,
He's still saying stuff that you're like, oh, they're not gonna like that one.
From Callahan's column here, the longest completion Jackson allowed went for 30 yards, a deep ball down the right sideline in the second half. Again, Jackson wasn't too impressed with his competition. I could have played it better, so he just made a good catch. It was all me. He didn't really do nothing. It was my fault. I gave him that.
Well, there was the one on the one sideline where it looks like Jackson had it lined up. And then I don't know if he thought it was going to go out of bounds.
That's the play they're talking about.
That's it. He was kind of like gathering himself for a good 2 seconds while it was coming out.
And then he was like, oh, this is going out of bounds. And he held up.
I feel like Parker makes a lot of those catches, too, against us specifically.
Parker's a pretty good player. He can't stay healthy. That's his problem. He'll get a hamstring pull, and he'll miss 4 games.
That's just why I wonder where are the Dolphins going, because the running game isn't particularly great. Offensive line, we've talked about their issues.
If their offensive line can get shored up, I don't think that Austin Jackson guy's the answer. We heard Armando in the pregame show say, it's good that he could come back, but he's not that good even if he plays. But if they add Will Fuller to that, they can make some plays.
Yeah.
That offense has the potential to make some plays.
Let's see if we can grab 2 calls in 2 minutes to end the show here. We'll start with Kevin in San Francisco. Kevin, what's up?
Hey, boys, how you doing?
Good, good.
All right.
So it's funny, sitting on hold for a while, you kind of go back and forth when you hear somebody's email in the point and somebody else's call on the point. Then you listen to the jerk coach, with his press conference, and then you hear Mac Jones, and he sounds great. I don't know what to think about this game yet. All I can tell you is I got to sleep on it and sort it out. But
all right, call
Patriots
Patriots
Unfiltered.
Unfiltered.
12-2
Watch
Tuesday.
the All-22 and call Patriots Unfiltered.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, one quick question, guys. Quick question. Do you think Do you think the game plan might change a bit next week based on the positives that they saw from Mac Jones? Thank you.
I think it will evolve. This is an evolution.
What I can't tell you the intricacies of the Jets' defense.
No.
To tell you, that's why it will change.
I think it's going to
They
change
threw the
based
ball
on
39 times.
Right. But they will learn, we did this well. We do this well. They're going to learn about their team. And even when Tom Brady was here, Belichick would say, you don't really know your team until week 6 or something like that.
And I think Hunter Henry, we started to see him at the end, but he really didn't play much the last month or so. So, even he's kind of working his way back in a little bit.
At one time, they were telling him where to go. He didn't even know where to go.
That's why I was a
play.
little surprised that Asiasi wasn't
Yeah.
dressed. But I guess it's a numbers game. You have to have someone's got to be inactive.
Speaking of the Jets, Rich in Florida has a thought. What is it, Rich?
Hey, how are you?
Good.
First of all, this is only the first game. We're not ready for the Jim Mora playoffs. Right. We're not ready for that yet. Okay, so
we're ready for it in the pregame show.
Second of all, Mac Jones had a 102 quarterback rating today.
Yep.
Which isn't half bad for his first game.
He was really good.
He was great.
And third point, next week we've got the Jets. Zach Wilson was sacked 6 times today.
Yep.
So.
And he probably lost his best player, and Mekhi Becton.
It's all in the defenses. It's in their corner now.
All right, Rich. Well, thank you for the call. I appreciate it.
By the way, Chandler Jones is on pace for 100 sacks this year.
Oh my God,
that would be a record.
Keep it up.
I tell you what, they're gonna look at what happened with the Jets today. They're going to, I'm sure, even if they don't say it in practice and they don't say it, if you're a defensive player and you see what happened to the Jets today, you're going to be eager to face them. I don't know what the Jets are going to do to guard against, another defense coming after their guy next week, but it could end up being a lot of fun. It could end up being frustrating again. We're going to find out.
Zach Wilson bombs away down the field, too.
I'll say the same thing with the Jets that I've said about Miami. In every game this year, don't pencil in that win this year.
Oh,
they're going to be tough.
I think he's right.
Yeah.
They're going to be tough.
That's going to be...
Now, I really think they should be able to beat the Jets twice in Houston, but Fred's point is accurate.
I thought Houston was going to lose to Jacksonville as bad as, with Jacksonville with a rookie quarterback, but look what they did today.
Sum up your final thoughts in one word. I've already done it for Fred Kirsch. Encouraged. Yeah, he's encouraged.
Yeah, I would agree with Fred. I look at Mac Jones and say encouraged.
Yeah, disappointed but encouraged. That's 3 words, but I'm going with it.
Sideline. That's my final thought. Mac Jones on that sideline.
Where's my football?
What a winner.
Where's my father? I mean football.
Great job, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Patriots Postgame Show presented by Cyber Reason. We'll do it again next week as the Patriots visit the Jets. Your final score for the final time, Patriots 16, Dolphins 17. So long from Gillette Stadium.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check Patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.